Tape Never Lies Network.
The tape never lies. Tape never lies.
Starts now.
The tape never lies.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100.
Keep it 100.
So chase greatness and start understanding that he's gonna make everybody better.
Tape never lies.
I don't want to see your tape breakdowns if you cannot show me things that are negative about a guy that's on your current team.
Hashtag chase greatness. Hashtag take that.
Keep it 100.
Because I'll make this one more time clear. Caden Whitlow, got it.
Keeping it 100.
He is the best quarterback I have ever scouted on tape.
The Chicago Bears select.
Guess who's back? The two dudes that kept it real. Dynamic duo that you love, the smartest man at Dr. Phil. Breaking down the film, never a problem, kick it straight. Most shows focus on stats, we focus on the tape. We keep it in 100, never running east or west. We coming with that truth, cause that's what our fans expect. Cut off the fake and anchor, moving forward to be free. But don't you worry, Shane's got the dumbest tweets. It ain't no secret, Phil and Shane got some haters. But now they're mouth stuffed like the Jew and now and latest. Debaters, draws get kicked like Coach Tabor. Cuts had to be made, we added a barber moderator. Up and down, boys got you double checking. Sad sack strolling like a fool drunk texting. Flexing on the truth cause you know they'll never change. Real, recognize real, that's what you get with Phil and Shane.
Give me some fucking names. We have 2 fucking games.
Fuck a play or a captain, all of the upstairs. The tape never lies, the truth. You see, we laugh, we lie, so there's no babies like Maybelline. Straight to the truth with acumen and facts. We got a stat nerd, but he's not just giving nerd stats. Car crash, big impact like trip sack. Every Wednesday night you got the smartest damn Phil back. Now we know you're smiling like a fat kid with fun dip. We're back better than ever and we're keeping it 100.
Keep it 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest
Keeping it
man.
100.
Keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest
Keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100.
Keep it 100.
Keeping it 100.
Yeah, exactly.
Yo, welcome back, everybody, to Keeping It 100 on the best 4-letter network on the planet. The tape never lies, and don't you forget it. Before we get started, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Tape Never Lies Network. Become a patron today at www.thetapeneverlies.com. The draft is over. Draft mob has broken for the rest of the offseason. Up until next season, it was a weird draft. The draft kind of went a few ways. There's a lot of questions about the Bears selections, but I think we got some players that are going to help us in the long term. But you know what? Before we get started,
Fuck you, Bullets.
go ahead and bring out the guys. Shane, the smartest man, Marshaw, and DDP. Draft Dr. Phil.
Yo.
Yo.
What up?
Where you at, Shane? I thought you were going to bring yourselves out like you always do. I'm like, fuck.
I never do
Where
it.
are they?
I never at us. We can blame Cherie. She's not here tonight.
Where the frig is Cherie?
I don't know.
Work commitments. Work.
That sounds
Work
very
commitments.
sketchy.
Yes. Sounds like a dinner date to me, but we'll see.
How do the young kids say it now? That's so sketch.
I don't know. I don't know how the young kids say it now because I'm not a young child.
It's like a kid.
You,
It's like a kid playing for the Southington Wolverines, wanting to add Roma Dunze to his roster so he could throw him dots because he's the quarterback. That did make me laugh. Mr. Tatatoshin.
well, Mr. Tatatoshin showing a little confidence and swagger.
That's what you want from the quarterback position, right?
That's what I want.
I noticed you didn't pick Afton Chisholm, so
Yes! Neither did the Bears.
yeah, they did not.
I guess Larison and Chisholm went to the Patriots.
Yeah, they're gonna play middle linebacker.
Coach O's happy about it.
Yeah, man, it's like I said, you put a lot of work into the draft. It takes forever to get here, and then it's over in a blink of an eye, and now the work begins once again to crack all these eggs and try to figure out the process. But even if we agree, if we disagree, now it's money time. Now you got the new coaching staff that we've been pounding the table for. They brought them in. Now it's time for them to get to work. You know, and back in the day when Flu said, get your track shoes ready, now it's get your whistles out and go coach these guys up that you guys decided on, some of which we don't agree with. That's why we're here. Now it's time to coach them up, improve us, show us why we're wrong. That's where we're at now.
For me, it's like your children have gone off to college because you spent all this time breaking them down. And then Ryan Poles comes in like somebody with NIL money and they go everywhere else but where you want them to go. But now we say goodbye to Calvin Banks. I feel like we should do a show. Goodbye, Banks. Goodbye, Mike Green. And go down the list.
Something tells me we will see them again.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Goodbye, Mr. Will Campbell and your short arms. That kind of analysis just didn't happen. Ivan usually is 5 miles away from his camera.
The same setup he's had in forever, yeah.
You guys just want a close up of me. Just say you
Yeah,
want a close up of the stash.
Well,
You don't have to be shy about it.
Producers always stay just so slick and skinny in a hole.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I thought Cam Scadaboo was going to bring.
Oh, so close.
That's
so
the
far
story
away.
of this draft. If we had the title, well, we'll wait for our guest tonight.
Yeah.
To come in, and we'll talk a lot about the draft, but just the amount of work that we put into this with Ivan and myself cutting all this tape and all of us going through it, watching tape, doing shows, putting all the graphics together and projecting where our board is and staying away from all of the phonies out there who are waiting on DJ, Daniel Jeremiah, and whoever else to put their board and kind of, I know we've talked about this a lot, so kind of, it's like an exhaust. I passed out on the couch on
You and
Sunday.
I both.
I was just exhausted.
I was pretty much a zombie all day Sunday. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. And the emotional roller coaster that you get, because when you see, it's like, for us, it's a lot different, I think. And you already interacted
100%.
with some fans, because if you don't love it, you got to project it. Why is the other person who's not as serious about it? Well, when you put all that time and energy into it, it's like that kid who waited all year for Christmas, waiting for the Nintendo, and he doesn't get the Nintendo. He gets some freaking knockoff fake version of it.
Duval.
That's what sometimes it feels like. And that's how I felt in regard.
Yeah, dude, I'm right there with you, Phil. And the thing about it is like I said, and I'm going to refer to this probably 117 more times before we play games. I'm not going to sit here and say that these guys can't play. It gets back to the process for me. And one of the and I'll ask Courtney this tonight also. And I've asked multiple people, even if, Bears fans, not Bears fans. I talked to one earlier this evening about it. He said the same thing. He's like, dude, I love Loveland, but he's like, tight end, top 10, coming off 5-win season. And I'm like, oh, that's exactly where I'm at. KC doing it, Baltimore doing it, Philly, Buffalo, San Francisco, they doing it. The winning organizations, are they doing it? I happen to think no, the Bears did. So here we are. Now it's time for Ryan Poles and, more importantly, Ben Johnson to go prove it, to go prove that you were right and we were the ones that were wrong. That's where we're at right now.
That is where we're at. And I don't want to get into a conversation about it and then repeat it again with our guest as we kind of pull back the layers of this draft. I will say, and we had a real heart-to-heart with our patrons yesterday, and kind of understanding there's a difference between being negative and being analytical. And I think a lot of people can't comprehend it. There is a time and a place for celebrations and happy and joy. And then there's time to look at things realistically. How many times have you gotten smacked in the ass and you're still going to go out that same door with no spring in it? It just keeps hitting you. That's where the Bears are. I have very little trust in Ryan Poles. And I've said this many times before. I could go down a diatribe of it, to the extension of Cole Kmet, the keeping of Eberflus, the hiring of Eberflus, the way it all went down, how his free agent signed from Lucas Patrick and the prick to his trade for Chase Claypool, and on it goes down the line. And again, without getting out in front of this is where I am with the process of how they look at RAS scores, Nate Davis, versus tape. I have told everybody and their brother, every person from Cap, Adam Rank, Courtney, Olin, Crew, every person that you guys have seen as a guest, friends, coaches, when it all boils down to it, I don't care what the media and whoever else is telling you what, 89% to 90% is tape. That's the resume. That's the thing that gets you in the door. It's not your 40 time. That's a piece of it. It's not your RAS score, and nor should it be. It's the tape that gets you the opportunity. Now you check the boxes. If it's any other way, you're circumventing the opportunity to win championships. I've seen it so many times. And the Chicago Bears have fallen on their face many a time trying to take a choir boy over a football player, trying to take an athlete over a football player, trying to trade down a little bit, get more picks, and whiff on all of them and skip out on the football player that's right there. That is the process that you have a problem with when it comes to him. in all of the lists that we're going to get into. There's not one Pro Bowl football player drafted by Ryan Poles. Not one.
I think this. You're absolutely correct, Phil. But this one's a bit different. Even though I still, and Shane as well have questions of this process, you could clearly tell this wasn't Ryan Poles in control. Like it just wasn't in my eyes. I think Ryan Poles decided, hey, I'm going to allow Ben to go ahead and take the first pick and then go from there. But I agree with you. There's been too many misses. You went down that list with me and Cherie. There's been too many Fs, too many guys that aren't on this roster that you drafted that aren't helping this football team. So I could see the lack of trust with Ryan Poles. As far as, definitely skipping out on other football players, this one is a bit different because of Ben Johnson. Now, will it pan out? I hope. But he put people on notice. One in particular, I think, would be Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet needs to wake up and be like, hey, your job isn't secure. I honestly think the guy starts day one. That's what you're drafting him for.
This is a good question. If your team had a decent coach last year, how many wins do you think we could have had sitting at? And I would say 9. I would say 9 wins.
Yeah, and I mean, well, you look at the Hail Mary game easily, and
Thanksgiving game was blown by the coach. The first Packers game was blown again by the refs and the coach.
The Colts game in the beginning of the season.
You couldn't ask for a worse situational football.
Let's be honest. The Houston game, the Bears had the ball at the end of the game, driving to win the game.
Yes, I'm just telling you. Yep. Caleb Williams has taken a lot of brunt, and we're going to get into that because I'm going to ask Courtney about that. Now it's time for him to cook. There's no excuse to say it's hilarious how this is. But to answer your question, I would say a good to decent coach. You're giving me decent. This was the only network, by the way, that called Eberflus out originally, right out. When you see a shoe salesman, you see it. We know it here. I'm going to know about Ben Johnson. The tape is going to tell me who this guy is. I'm going to give him a rookie coach's 6 games because he's never been a coach on any level whatsoever. So we're going to see where it is.
And I think it plays into sorry, Phil. I was going to say, I think it plays into this question with about Hippolyte. If Dennis Allen could go and he's the guy that wanted him, let's trust the coach. But I think it's exactly what Phil said. We need to see them. Like even Dennis Allen to this point, Dennis Allen was a great coach with the New Orleans Saints. Let's go ahead and see what he does here in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. We've been jumping the gun and being happy about everything for the past 5 fucking off seasons. Anything that happens, I feel like the fan base jumps the gun and gets overly excited. Let's just play it all out. That's kind of where I'm at this point. Even with the coaches, even though the coaches have a track record with a Dennis Allen, Ben Johnson doesn't. But let's go see what they both do. Let's just let it play out because I think it's just too early to say whether they're going to have success or they're going to have failure.
And you don't have any choice but to let it play out. But that's the difference right there. And this is what we went through with our patrons yesterday because there was some of them pushing back. One specifically was pushing back, saying that you guys are too negative. You guys are picking on these kids and all of this nonsense that we're not picking on the kids. I was the one that went out live on air on night 1 and said, don't hold Colston Loveland accountable for this. He didn't pick himself.
Yep.
The Bears did. So don't take it out on the kid. just like I did with Mitch. Same thing. You can be pissed off at the selection. It wasn't Mitch's fault that he got drafted there. That was all on Ryan Pace and everybody else that was involved. Same thing. But we're not here. They're like, you guys are too negative and you just want to bitch. Look at the team that you're a fan of. What have you had to root for consistently? The offseason. For hope and a prayer. Oh, this guy is going to change the direction of our franchise. Now we're going to start winning. And I get it. The NFL draft is hope and excitement. But when you're not watching the tape, you're not grinding out the tape and putting in the work like we're doing here, we're not settling. We're not going to come out and say, oh, you know what? Everything that we said leading up about building the trenches on both sides of the ball, let's attack there. That's a moot point now because you know what? We went tight end. So let's just ride the wave of emotion like 95% of other networks do. We're never going to do that here, ever. And if we go out and Colston Loveland is a top 5 tight end, are we gonna hold it against the Bears? No. We're gonna say it ended up being a great pick.
I don't know what to tell you in regards to it. And again, I'm holding back because I want to save it.
Cole Kmet is not going anywhere, guys. Let's stop.
At least for a year.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere this year.
I think Cole Kmet is going hopefully in the weight room and in the plyometrics department.
But this is
really working on his craft. That's
100%. And but this is what we have to look at. If you sit there and you say that a lot of went wrong with Caleb was the situation with coaching, or the situation with coaching was what brought this down, you got to put Cole Kmet in there too. Yes, Cole brought things on negatively on himself. But if you have a guy like Ben Johnson here that's going to use the tight ends, use 12 personnel, and attack the seams and use these guys the proper way, I happen to think that there's going to be a difference, much like Braxton Jones. Not a huge Braxton Jones guy, but is Roshar we're going to see if he's going to make a difference. Is it going to make a difference him not having Tevin Jenkins in and out of the lineup beside him every couple of weeks? Is he going to be better with Joan Tooney beside him, or is it going to be Darnell Wright over there? That's what we're going to see. The situations matter also.
This right here, let's go Bears. Let's go 100%, but you have to be true to that. That's what I've been waiting to hear. You can't have George McCaskey and the president, Kevin Warren, looking at the salary chart and highlighting it in highlighter on a Friday as you're heading into the game saying, wait a second, this guy's making this much and you have him on the bench. Then again, the politics come into it. This should be a formed culture. This is how it should be anyway on every level of football there is. No depth chart, you earn it.
Yeah, I don't
now
think
you go into it.
Sorry, I don't think he comes here if he doesn't get that guarantee.
Well, regardless, a lot of coaches will say this shit but not do it. They'll allow the owners to say
Papa Giorgio. Yes. Way more than you have. I'll be willing to bet you've watched 0 minutes of tape. I'm not counting YouTube highlights. Yes, a lot more. Between us three, way more than you have.
Oh,
I'm cutting tape now.
but I will say this.
6 hours of Trapillo, if you want to.
Combined, we have 0 minutes of watch tape pre-draft of Hippolyte.
Yes.
You
No
got us
one
on
watched
Hippolyte. You got us on Hippolyte.
Hippolyte. I don't know anybody that watched tape of Hippolyte unless they're pretending.
Oh, there's those guys too.
And the reality is, I still, again, gotta save it for the guests.
He wasn't being snarky.
We have every draft pick. Again, I forget. Patron. If you're a patron, Ivan's doing a shitty job. I thought Jacko was producing tonight.
Oh,
He's not putting up the fucking. There you go. Become a patron at thetapeneverlies.com. If you're not a patron, you wouldn't know. But every guy that we selected, in fact, tomorrow night, we'll start off our live film breakdown and study. This isn't a watch some highlights with some popcorn with friends. This is where we're going to get in the coach's room, show you the tape, pull it back and forth, teach you, as well as show you what does Colston Loveland bring to the table. There's no cherry pick and there's no try to pump up and blow smoke up anybody's ass.
Right. And to Papa Giorgio's point, he said he was being honest because he doesn't know. And I noticed that's the first comment he's ever had here on TTNL. But yeah, so if you go around the room, we didn't have.
The only guy I didn't see was Hippolyte.
But I'm talking about Loveland specifically.
Oh.
He was my tight end 1. He was Phil's tight end 2. Where was he with you, Ivan? Was he 2 or 3 with you?
2.
He was 2 with you. So yeah, we were there with the player. We understand the talent. We see the talent. We put in the work on the player. It's again, to say it for the 100th time, it's the process that gets you there.
We're going to go into it. I don't want to dive in. Believe me, I'm biting my tongue. I even broke.
There's enough. There's enough either way. I mean,
I just don't want to be repeating myself.
Yeah.
But
well,
I don't trust polls whatsoever. I just see the man and the person, and I see the pattern. The pattern is that's a George guy. That's all I need to say here. I hope Ben Johnson took the role of leader.
But I think, Phil, I think you're right to a point. They also went off course in round 2 in terms of what you're saying. They went for the guy that dropped because of character.
I'm not even talking about character. I'm talking about addressing the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. And I'll just repeat it with Courtney. I don't think anybody can fight or debate me in saying this GM has made signing free agents and trades to find the second most important position on your football team, and that's pass rusher. And he has never drafted one in the top half of the draft. He's never identified anybody in college. He had an opportunity last year to take 2 blue chip prospects in Brock Bowers and Jared Verse and took Roma Dunze, who was my number 1 receiver. But you see, now again, you're at 39. You have an opportunity to take a blue chip prospect and you take a receiver.
And we all love Rome.
Debated.
We all love Rome.
And I love Luther Burden was my number 1 on my board at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the priority and the process is the line of scrimmage. Now, if you're spending 4th round picks and trades to Seattle, we go down. Montez Sweat, we're trading for him. We're signing Deo, who we don't know what he's a 6-stack guy. Does he come here and get 11, 4, 2? He signed Walker. We saw Walker. He's an interior pass rusher. That's where, no, we'll put him at edge. They signed Muhammad. He sucked. He was terrible. He's the worst signing. Then he goes to the Colts and plays like a different person. So it's like over and over with the edge position. Over and over. That this guy can't find his ass from his elbow.
Oh, he went to the Lions, Phil.
The Lions,
Yeah.
Sorry. Some fucking dome.
DeMarcus Walker didn't even get signed after we released him.
Oh, he's still out there?
Still a free agent. Yep.
I thought he was signed.
I thought so too.
But anyway, my mini rant on in my lifetime of watching football, just go back and look at your Super Bowl winning teams. They have fucking great pass rushers and a great quarterback. Trent Dilfer is an exception, but go look at their fucking pass rushers on the Ravens. They're going to make up possessions for you. You sit on your ass with fourth-round pass rush. Dominique Robinson, I swear to God, him and Justin Fields are going to get it in year 28. They're going to get it.
Phil, it's already started again. I don't know. Well, you're not on X, but
no,
they were showing pictures of or video of Justin throwing, against air today. And they're like, he looks like a completely different quarterback. He's finally went to a team that's going to invest in him. And he looks like, it was exactly the same shit that we've seen. He's been working on, they specifically pointed out his footwork and his fundamentals. It's all the same.
It's the same.
Nothing
story.
has changed.
Sundays in the fall, watch the story unfold. It's the same thing. Zebra's not going to change his stripes. That's where I worry about. This was a disappointing draft for me. I'm the happy guy. You had 4 picks, 4 in the top 72. And I'm just telling you right now, what could have been didn't happen.
Right.
So when I see Poles strut out there, I just see the projection of himself on a lot of these offensive and defensive linemen, and that's unknown.
Particularly the offensive linemen.
And defense.
Yeah.
They haven't even taken a swing at the bat with a pass rusher. So those of you that are new to me, and I know our guest is in the green room enjoying the shrimp cocktail and the filet, but I want to get this out there. I've never seen a GM not understand the priority of football. Now, he addresses all of it with free agent signings and late round picks. So he had to rebuild his misses with interior offensive linemen. And then he has to trade for pass rushers. He doesn't draft them. In the 4th round, he'll draft someone. He doesn't.
Except this year.
The bat.
That's what we were calling for.
Exactly. Could have had Jack Sawyer, but this is the issue I have with him. I didn't like the process, nor did Shane. If I'm there, we're going to get into it with her. But I don't want to spoil anything, but that process of the holy trinity of football, I've been around East Coast, Belichick, Parcells, all of these guys here on the East Coast go by the same mantra. Quarterback number 1, pass rusher number 2, left tackle number 3. How many of those boxes have the Bears checked off in 2 decades? They got 1 right now. They got 1 box checked. They went in with 4 fucking picks in the top 72. And they came away still missing 2 and 3. I have an issue with that. That process doesn't work. Tight ends don't move the meter to the Super Bowl. They become a piece later. That's where we are. But anyway, that was my mini rant here. You could agree or disagree. I don't know if you're a junior, senior, or sophomore, but this person's going to know it when she comes out here.
Jesus.
The tape never lies.
NHL 94. It was on Sega. That was.
Oh, is that what it was?
Fans out there.
Sega. How do you say that?
Sega.
Sega,
I always said Sega.
Sega.
That's easier from the East Coast.
Me down to the East Coast.
You always
I say it Western way. Sega.
Sega.
Is there a commercial for it that I'm unaware
No,
of?
when you put your cartridge in,
Yeah.
it would go. See?
Ours didn't sing. I think we probably got the knockoff version of it. So that's the noise you made?
Yeah.
All right. Fuck this. Those are things that you can build upon that actually enhance the value of your product instead of diminish it. I think with Fields, the jury's still out.
You have to navigate the market for Justin Fields and how dry the trade market is right now.
Looking at it saying that's all they could get for Justin Fields, and I've said this all along, that's a reflection of what the league's telling you they think of Justin right now.
You can hardly turn on your radio or TV these days without seeing this lady talking ball. She's everywhere, but most importantly, she covers the team we all know and love. Bears fans, TTNL fans, please get up out your seats and give it up for the Bears beat reporter for ESPN.
So similar to how
and
the Bears
ESPN
went through this
Radio.
rebuild.
She's family. She's Courtney Cronin.
Hi.
There she
Welcome
is.
back.
Look where I am.
Yeah.
Where it all started.
Where it began.
Applying the Murphy's oil soap to the beautiful paneling behind her before Phil started swinging. Right before
So
he
my
brought you
my bathrooms are under construction down in the city, so I've been out here for 2 weeks because there's literally no toilets. So because I'm redoing the whole thing, it's my big summer project. So I'm back here for a couple weeks, and I came down here because this is where, like, if I need a halfway point to get up to Hallis, like if there's during training camp, I'll stay here on a Saturday night because I have my morning radio show, 6 to 9. So like I usually have like my stuff, my Comrex, all my radio stuff down here, like ready to go in the event that I need to like go up to Hallis or whatever. But I came down here when I moved back like a week and a half ago, and I'm like, where is all of the stuff?
Yeah.
Like she just started like getting in this like cleaning phase of like, we're going to start, ridding the house of everything. I'm like, you can't get rid of Madden 96.
Yes.
There it
Eddie
is.
George.
Get rid of NBA Live.
You should have had
Like,
Eddie sign that when he was
I know. You can't get rid
interviewing
of,
for the
like,
job.
Cool Cats trophy from 1995, my AYSO. So she didn't get rid of everything, but some of like the other Sega games, which I'm still calling it that, they're not here. I can't find NHL 94. I've looked everywhere for it, but
Jesus, you had it at
Knocked
one
it on
point.
eBay.
yeah, I should like start looking
Mom
for
sold
it.
that thing.
Probably like bootlegging my shit and putting it up on the internet now so anybody can buy it.
Oh, that's great.
I love you. I'm so excited that you're back. And obviously you have what fans don't seem to understand is a great sense of humor, and you dish it out with all of us, but you've always, and the fans are saying it in the chat, you always show up and show out for us, Courtney. And
Of course.
we're your biggest fans. We know you're not long for Chicago. I'll say this here. You're getting better with age.
Thank
as
you.
you go. You're skipping grades. You're skipping grades.
No, it's good to
Do you
be
want
back.
to address this shit that transpired right out the gate here? Obviously, a lot of fans are trying to get at you because there's a misprint. But I joke around with Courtney because she's a friend. She's great. So you got to take the good and the bad, right, Courtney?
Oh, hell yeah. No, I mean, you would have thought that I accidentally texted our war plans to a journalist about when our next airstrike is going to happen in Yemen with the treatment that I got from like misspeaking on Saturday. So if you want, like, I know a lot of people like don't actually give a shit, but there are a lot of people who like I tried to explain it. I tried to there is a real reason. Like I'm not stupid. I'm not.
Right.
I promise. I promise. I have a college degree. I've been doing this for a very long time. I am well aware that you need to be in college for 3 years before declaring. But to give you the real story of like, and I mean not that like my tweet out there kind of explained it before, it's not the real story, but the context behind this is that on Friday when he gets drafted, when Luther Burden gets drafted, I go into our stats and info like chat, and that's where they throw in a bunch of notes like of every prospect, like just some really cool, interesting nuggets, and like the draft research people put together. They do a fantastic job. And in 2020, the 2023 season, he had one more yard than Marvin Harrison Jr., who obviously was the 4th overall pick last year in that receiver class. And so I was like, oh, like I remember seeing like that stat and thinking like, all right, I'm going to ask him about it. Cause we didn't have the, like we had the Zoom on Friday. He did not seem like he was in the mood to talk. He was pretty upset, obviously. And he said like, I thought I was going to be a 1st round pick. And that's when, the night before he was out working out with his girlfriend, throwing like had night throwing session. So he was pretty, I don't want to say like heated, but like you could just tell like this guy means business. He feels like he was slighted to a degree. So it's like, all right, we're gonna find out. We get him on Saturday, and I was like, I'm gonna ask him about that. And I was like racking my brain on Saturday about like, wait a second, when did he come out? And then I like looked at Sports Reference, because that's usually when you type in a player's name, at least on my computer. Like just probably because I use it so often, that Sports Reference, whether you're using it for pro football reference or the college reference.
Right.
And I guess I've never really paid attention to it from the college perspective before that. Like, and I've asked other friends who work on beats, I'm like, does this automatically, if a guy leaves early as a junior, just like goes the sophomore to senior year jump? And I guess that's what it was, because I remember seeing senior and I was so fucking miffed. I'm like, wait a second, there's no way that he came out as a senior, but like, I've got to ask him about this, because I thought like, because my thought was that stat I just read you about, hey, one more yard than Marvin Harrison Jr. My thought is thinking, okay, did he take a COVID year? Why did he stay in? You would have thought you would have wanted to have left the year before. Like if you're all upset about not being a 1st round pick, if you thought that you should have gone higher, like because of what I read, and it's on me. It's on me. I'm a journalist. Like that's the thing. Like you want to come at me on it, that's absolutely fine. I own it. He looked at me like I had 3 heads. The guy's a great sport. I look forward to building a relationship with him.
Well, that's your in right there. I mean, let's be honest.
Exactly.
Hey, dude,
I'm the one who messed up.
You remember me?
Absolutely did. But like it's really, God, like you would have thought like I did something horrible with the reaction that's gone out there on social media, but whatever. It's it's a long ass weekend. I don't just cover the Bears draft. I have to cover it nationally, because we've got to talk about it on Around the Horn on Monday, which we did, even though it was the Shador Sanders show, which I would have loved it not to have been, but it's all in good fun. I just wanted to like, people don't want to ever actually, I think people are committed to misunderstanding you. So I just want to make sure that like people don't actually think I'm stupid, like that dumb. I'm very dumb on certain things. If you want to hate my takes, hate like real football takes, not something that was a semantical thing that I fucked up. So
it was it was.
Well, we know you're definitely not dumb.
We definitely know you're not dumb. I've met you in person. You're pretty smart.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like that's not gonna be
your pronunciation of Sega withstanding. Everything else.
I'm not smart.
My son saw you on TV and he's like, Dad, is that the lady that we met at Buffalo that was so mad that she had to drive a Dodge Ram truck the whole way to Buffalo?
7 hours.
That's exactly
that
her.
too, Shane. That thing does not have great power steering. That was a scary drive.
Yeah, crazy.
I mean, flipping that thing through the state of Pennsylvania. Like I'd never driven a pickup truck before, so that was yes. The preseason schedule. What, we're 2 weeks away from when we find out what those schedule's going to be on May 14th. I think it's going to, there's a lot of really good road trips this year. So I'm very excited to see what their preseason slate's going to look like too.
going to Philly,
Yep.
Washington.
I think Philly, if that pans out to like Peter Schrager and Adam Schefter have both dropped little hints that they believe that'll be the week 1 game.
The Thursday night game.
Wouldn't that
Right.
be awesome? Like,
Oh,
I mean, that's
wow.
a prime time window starting out.
I was thinking of going.
Not for
to
me.
this
My
game.
entire
No,
family are rabid asshole Philadelphia Eagles fans, so
That's
it
when
wouldn't
you
be so
take on
great for
for?
me. Yeah, it's
I get
just
that.
it's
gotta swing the bat, Shane, and go.
oh bully. Hey,
You had such a great time with Bears Patriots last
right.
year.
You wait, man. Luther Burden's gonna score a touchdown, and I'm like, that motherfucker left early. I'm gonna tell everybody.
I don't know. Philly, like I covered a game there. I covered Steelers Eagles in December for radio. And it was like, you know, that those fans get a reputation, have a reputation
Oh yeah.
like really, really intense. I think that holds true. I definitely, even though that game was a blowout, more or less by the fourth quarter, I absolutely saw people getting into it in the stands. I'm like, you guys are winning. Why are you worried about them?
So people in my family have fake Philadelphia license plates that they put onto their car when they park their car at the stadium. Because if it has New York plates on it,
then
they'll mess with their car. Yeah. That's how it gets there.
Cool.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, if it's week 1, I know I'll be there. Maybe you guys will be there. It should be good.
We're definitely getting together this year. When I don't know. We got to wait till the schedule, May 14th, to figure out when we're coming to Chicago. But yeah.
Dallas sounds fun. Just saying.
Dallas coming to Chicago.
Yeah.
Yes.
It'd be fun.
So, Courtney, I had a mini rant beforehand. I have a big issue with Ryan Poles. We didn't like the process of the tight end at 10. I know they probably were identifying 4 players, all of which went before.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be Will Campbell, Genty, Kelvin Banks. I don't know who the 4th guy is in there. Those 3 I know for sure. Whoever that 4th player.
Well, I think it was the 3 that went before. Yeah.
Yeah. The 4th would have been the tight ends, and
the
they
tight
had
ends, right?
Okay.
So
for me, I am taking Michael Williams at 10 from Georgia and addressing a pass rush with a young length. He fits Dennis Allen's profile of what you're looking for. The way they used him at Georgia, I cut tape for years. That was the most frustrating player, or Georgia players in general, because he's in one play, they took him out, they bring him back in another play, and you're having to cut.
Well, he had a little over 400 snaps on the year, and you look at Abdul Carter, and he had over 700.
Right.
So that shows you
Williams wasn't staying in there and being your right or left end every rep. It was just like a rotation of Georgia. Obviously, they have the talent and the NIL to appease, but for me, that's where I would have went if the board fell like that. How do you see this position? And is this obviously Ben Johnson flexing here, saying,
for sure,
we're getting this guy?
I think the Johnson factor, like, it can't be overstated, right? Like, Jeff King was the first person we talked to, the senior director of player personnel, after Colston Loveland was drafted. And he mentioned how there were several players that Ben Johnson was, chomping at the bit for. So very clearly he had a lot of influence in the draft room. You expect that. Obviously, I heard Adam Amin on with Waddle and Sylvie today, and I think he put it perfectly. Like, when we talk about what the Bears did in the offseason, Ben Johnson, in theory, is their top pick, top free agent, top pick, whatever it is. Like, you had to get that one right. And that was, I don't know why. Like, I had not thought about it in that sort of, using that sort of metaphor before, but it was a perfect way to surmise, like, Ben was the key to all of this offseason. So, of course, with that logic, he's going to have a big say in personnel. Salaried, his $13 million salary certainly would reinforce that he would too. So I think what they What they weren't able to do, so James Gladstone screws up everybody's night because the cost now was prohibitive for the Bears. It was going to be way too much for them to move up. That's why, and obviously we'd heard in the aftermath, the parameters of that trade between the Browns and the Jags was in place since like April 7th. So that's probably why, if the Bears were calling, they weren't calling Cleveland within the last hour. I can tell you that. I know that there was a lot of buzz of what's Cleveland going to do, or like, who are they trading with? But I think like knowing what we know now about how that trade between those two happened, that the price was just going to be so exorbitant for all these other teams that wanted to get ahead of the Raiders at 6 to get Genty, that the Bears were like, sorry, we can't do it. That would have wiped them out of the second round, no question. And then they wouldn't have, been able to have an active day on Friday with a lot of other needs on the roster. But then that's like after that, Will Campbell and Kelvin Banks were two very high targets of the Bears. Those were the guys that they wanted the most on the offensive line. Like there's a natural fit there at left tackle for one. And I just think that in terms of how the visits went, how they felt that these guys would be able to come into the team and be a part of a right fit for what Ben Johnson wants up front. That would have been the play. Like Kelvin Banks, if he was there at 10, that's who they would have drafted.
Well, that gives me good hope.
Right. That's what that was going to be my next question.
New Orleans was a wild card though, right? Like because you think, okay.
Yeah, the Ramczyk retirement.
Yeah, that changed everything, I think. But also it's like, well, Brandon Staley's your new defensive coordinator. They need, they're old as hell on the defensive line. Maybe Mason Graham was gone by that point, but had he not been, or maybe they would have been thinking we need to bolster the pass rush. Cam Jordan can't play forever, but clearly offense won out there because I think, as you just pointed out, the Ryan Ramczyk retirement and knowing that offensive line's getting older, they had to go do that. So the Bears are sitting there at 10. They can't trade back because there's no takers. Like, you know what I mean? Like if Houston was willing to move up, because we see them we thought after they had made some moves, I believe it was like the 5th round or whatever it was, whatever they did going into Thursday night, they made some later move, like,
they moved up for Ursery.
Yeah. And but they
acquired some later picks.
The they started acquiring some picks. Excuse me.
But the word on Houston was if they were going to come up, it was for Banks.
Yeah.
But I heard. Yeah.
But so that happens, he goes at 9. The Bears are kind of sitting there in no man's land, which is a tough, I thought that was going to be no man's land to begin with, but it became even more so. So they couldn't do this aggressive trade back to get into the late 20s to then pick up more draft capital. So they had to pick at 10. So I think it just became a matter of those 4 players that you mentioned, Genty, Will Campbell, Kelvin Banks, and then the tight ends. I think it was, since you can't do option B and, the 3 guys you really wanted are gone, pick the best player at that spot. That truly was a best player available and somebody who projects to have a pretty significant role in terms of the snap count and what his usage is going to be right away. Like a first round tight end better be really, really good. That's the only thing I have not qualms about. Like, if you're taking a tight end at 10, that guy better be
not as a rookie, Courtney, but he's got to be a top 5 tight end in his career.
Yeah, I mean, well, look at Sam Laporta as a rookie. He's a 2nd round pick. He's got to be at least that, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
he went a lot higher than Laporta did.
Yeah, he's got to.
Do you think he starts?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, they're going to run 2 tight ends.
I mean, right. I get that. But is he going to be the feature tight end to start off?
How could he not?
How can he not? No, that's a great question because we get it all the time. What happens to Cole now? What's his role in the offense? And the Bears, they did right by Cole. They let him know they let him know afterwards, hey, you're still part of this. It's, we don't view it as us, all of a sudden he's going to replace you. But if we're being realistic about it, when we talk about 12 personnel and, 2 tight ends on the field, it doesn't mean that they're getting equal targets. So I view this as what happened in Philadelphia a couple of years ago when they have Zach Ertz, they draft Dallas Goedert, and eventually they phase Zach Ertz out. That's how it works in the NFL. Doesn't mean that Cole's gone this year. Doesn't mean maybe he's gone next year. Who knows? Like, he doesn't have any more guaranteed money on his contract after 2025. But I think that if you draft a tight end 10th overall, you absolutely have to use that guy to like just
Better.
Yeah, like that would be.
It's a colossal failure. Yeah, if he's not.
All of a sudden, we're like, no, like we're gonna, he's tight end too. I don't see that at all. I see him as starting tight end, the guy who's getting all the targets. Like Sam Laporta was that guy in Detroit. He was the third leading receiver the last 2 years, I believe, and then 10 touchdowns his rookie year. That's pretty good production for a rookie tight end. That should make fans feel like, okay, you got the guy who did that with Laporta. Now you've got his replacement for him or his vision for him in Chicago.
You know how Cole Kmet gets more targets? By separating and working his ass off on his craft. That's how it happens, right? Because you get open, you're gonna get targets. So don't sit there and pout like a little baby. Go out there, be the captain you're supposed to be and the player you're paid to be. They paid you. It's not like, right, Courtney? I mean, they paid this dude to be who he is, and he has disappointed. Let's be honest.
But I mean, some of it last year,
was coaching influence.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that he's like not on the field, he's not targeted, like that's a Shane Waldron thing that I think they certainly recognize that, and it's like giving him the benefit of the doubt now to prove he can go back to a couple of years ago when he was that security blanket for Justin Fields in the red zone. Like that's where a lot of his targets should come still, I think. And then Colston Loveland, what separates him is, that was the big question. Why him over Tyler Warren? Tyler Warren was, by and large in the eyes of most, the higher ranked tight end. But like, if you really start breaking down the tape and looking at like, well, what did Penn State's offense look like? What did Michigan's offense look like? A lot of manufactured yards going towards Tyler Warren. They fed him every single time. Yeah, and like the yak is great. That's great, but like he was their offense. Yes, I know they had 2,000-yard backs, but like he was their passing offense. Colston Loveland had a rotating cast of quarterbacks. They were the 130th out of 134 qualified FBS offenses in passing. They stunk at throwing the ball last year, but he was still really consistent. And I think his ability to separate from defenders, the speed and the athletic profile was what tipped the scale in his favor over a Tyler Warren.
And people say that it doesn't matter. There's also a 3-year age difference between the two. I think that you can say that it's not a factor, but it's a big deal when you're talking about, the 5-year rookie contract. Yeah. But even beyond that, Courtney, getting into round 2, we had Matt Waldman on here a few different times leading up to the draft. And one of our big conversations was about Luther Burden and how much we all, like Phil had him wide receiver 1. I did. Matt Waldman did. And I made the comment to Matt, a couple of weeks before the draft. I'm like, what's weird is we're talking about trenches. If this kid is at 39, I'm like, I can't pass him up. And Waldman agreed. And, we're kind of threw that out there. Well, we saw what happened. We saw him at 39. I don't think it's a stretch to think that if Travion Henderson was available at 39, that he would have been the pick. But my question is, what do you think if Henderson was at 39 and the Bears made that pick? Do you think they're staying true to their board at 41 and still taking Burden?
Well, would Burden have gone?
Well, they took the quarterback at 40. New Orleans was the sandwich pick there. So
then they took
quarterback trumps all.
It would have been, Tyler Shuck went at 40, and then the Bills took TJ Sanders. So would
traded
with the pick?
Because Buffalo traded up with us at 41. Yeah. But do you think that they would if they took the offensive weapon in Henderson at 39? And I mean, the way that they talked about Luther Burden is that he was a blue player for them at 39. Do you think that they would have stayed true to that at 41 and sat there and still taken him?
I think it would have been tough only from the standpoint of, you came in with 2 second-round picks. Like
Yep.
by the end of the night, they had 3 second-round picks, no third rounder. Where are you addressing the trenches then on day 2 if you don't do it at 41? Like,
Yeah.
I know how they feel about Luther Burden. They stayed if Travion Henderson's there, if the Patriots would have been
Burden
willing
or
to trade
Henderson are
him,
there.
they would have done it. They would have done it, and they would have had their running back. I think a lot of people were surprised about the order. I think that most people thought Quinshon Judkins would have been available second and not Travion Henderson. But either way, I think the Browns did a phenomenal job in the second round of the draft with how they, and even in day 3 with how they got Dylan Sampson and what they did to their running back room. If there's one position, I think the Bears are, probably slightly disappointed it worked out the way that it did. It's running back, because there was one sitting right there that they wanted. And then when he goes away, you still address offensive skill, but then you have the two, offensive tackle, defensive tackle needs that you are able to get. So, it's a big hypothetical. It's tough to say, like, if they would have passed up on Burden for a tackle, but then again, we're talking about this. Phil mentions it at the top of the show, like the premium positions, the left
Holy
tackle
Trinity,
position. So I think if you only had 1 second-round pick, you're probably going offensive line there. If you hadn't addressed, like if that was your only other second-round pick, not the way that it worked out with the trades.
For me, Courtney, stay there. I would not have traded out of 41. I thought it was a mistake in regards to what they did at tight end. I can get behind it, Courtney. I don't like the process because of what happened. I would have taken Mikael Williams, like you said. They took Loveland. Now we're at 39. If you're taking Burden there, 41, Ariante Ursary is right there for the taking. We have broken down these tackles like nobody else. I can stand on my hit rate. I don't pretend. I'll show everybody. Olin Kreutz, Big Steve Edwards, my father, Shane, myself, just watching Ariante Ursary dominate. I mean, talking embarrass Abdul Carter to the point where it was just, there's just nowhere to hide. This dude at Iowa game, Ohio State, just the way he plays with an aggressiveness and an attitude of the length, 6'6", 330 run, ran a 5.01. His athletics, and it's just the same old polls, the same. Like, what are you doing? Like, that right there just crushes me, because I feel like they want to get more swings instead of finally answer the bell there.
Yeah, I hear what
trades
you're
up
saying.
for the guy.
Because like that, where they were at, like from like 41, so they trade with Buffalo, they move back, they're at 56.
Yep.
Like, did they
56 and 62, I think,
and yeah,
right?
they missed
62,
time like when the
59.
run was happening on the defensive tackles, defensive ends that were coming off the board, and the offensive linemen. That was a risk that they had to know was about to happen, because it was foreshadowed a little bit early on in round 2. So I've got the board here. I've got it here. So like Miami takes the guard from Arizona, Savanea, and then the next like trenches player that comes off is TJ Sanders at the pick that the Bears originally had.
Buffalo, yeah.
And then it just starts this snowball effect. So I'm sure after they make that trade, they're thinking, all right, you go from 41 to 56. That's, you're sitting there 15 picks.
Yeah.
Like you're probably losing offensive linemen that are on your board, but you're going to feel comfortable in, that there's going to be somebody else there. Cause that was the time to do it. If you were going to do it at all, like the second round, I personally didn't like, and I get it. Like if you were okay with them being at 39, but like not moving back from 41, I get that one. I didn't like that they had no third round pick, because that's where the running back should have come from. That's where Johnson should have come from. I think the SMU kid might have gone day 3.
Richard Smith.
Yeah. So like there's
he ended up in Kansas City of all goddamn places.
There's
Scatterboo, I know, was their pick.
But I mean, like,
see, I think that was the worst trade down of them all. You go from 109 to 132.
Yeah.
And you
got nothing back.
But then again, like, and I'm not trying to like give them, I'm
Yeah.
just trying to play devil's advocate here. Like, there were 2 backs going off the board right
Yeah.
before they got on at 109. So they view that as shit. There's nobody else
Yeah.
here right now. Like
And
the
Jack
leading
Sawyer
back
staring
is,
him right in the face. That was what I'm like, go.
and trust me, I don't,
Yeah.
if there's one pick that you're like, what the heck? That's that's Hippolyte at
Yeah.
Oh my
the
gosh.
4th round pick. That one, if you're looking at any trade back where you're like, maybe they miscalculated that one,
Yeah.
it was the early day 3 trade, because I think that if Jacksonville would have been, they showed all weekend that they were willing to move around. That's the
Yep.
team that I would have done a trade with, or at least called to try to get up to early in round 3, or excuse me, early in round 4. Where were they at? 107. Like, that's the one that I would have, that's the Jack Kaiser guy, the
Yeah,
linebacker
Jack
from
Kaiser.
him. So
Then you would have jumped
So-
over the Giants.
Courtney at 109 had Phil and I have heard that the guy that they were looking for was Scatabo. Now I don't know if that's true or not. Bashul Tootin from Virginia Tech, and then Scatabo. They
back to back.
they went right off the board. Do you have any insight, or do you think it was Scatabo, or do you think either one of
We were
those two?
told it was Scatabo.
I think that like the run there spooked them, and they decided to move back.
So such a big drop, man.
But like, and that's what took them out. And you can think what you want of Dylan Sampson, not great in pass protection, like,
I like
undersized, but like, I don't think it would have been a reach to take him at just to stay on the board at 109 and take him.
Agreed.
I would have been happy with that.
Feeling a lot better about your running back situation right now.
I would have taken Sawyer myself,
Mhm.
pass rusher from Ohio State.
I think you could have gone edge rusher there, because there is a really deep class, or running back, 2 deepest positions. You would have felt justified in staying on at 109 and taking either of them, instead of continuing to move back and, acquiring some extra picks there. I just think the value would have been better. You're getting a higher end player where you would have been earlier in the 4th round, instead of moving all the way back.
I agree. And we talked to Phil and I were on the phone with Cap the day after the draft, just bouncing off different scenarios. And he's like, well, you got to realize, and I know you know this, Courtney, that Al Harris was banging the table for Zay Frazier. But I said to him, I'm like, Cap, so at 109, they didn't take Frazier, but you make the move after 109 if you have to get Zay Frazier. If you can move after that. To me, it all changed with you go from 109 down to 132 and pick up a late 5th rounder. I thought it was bad value, and I thought it was really bad process by the Bears.
Yeah, day 3 felt like the board got away from them.
Oh, it did.
I think that
Yeah.
you can certainly feel on either side of the aisle about how day 1 and day 2 went. Like, at least like how I walked away from those days was that feeling like the fan base was underwhelmed, to say the least. Maybe they feel different now because they saw Mel Kiper gave him a B+ grade. I don't know. But I felt like the pulse I had on how people were feeling about this, just based on like what my Twitter mentions looked like, where people were really underwhelmed by how they walked away from the weekend, but specifically because of Saturday, because there wasn't, Kyle Monungai as a 7th round pick felt like the diamond in the rough.
He's my favorite.
It was the best pick.
That's like, but like waiting until the very last pick.
Yeah, exactly.
I can understand why some Bears fans were a little miffed just by the way like day 3 went, because of 4th round, like starting early in the 4th round, like the board was really, really, really getting away from them.
Well, you're a great writer, and I think it needs to be looked at. His ability, and I mean polls, he talks about pockets, and all he came up with lint. Way he played this board, he got played. And if you look back to his first draft, Courtney, and again, I'm not an analytics guy or research. I will tell you the tape and the truth. But I look back at his first drafts, and every trade down to accumulate more, all whiffs. All his trade downs, whiffs. The more you go back, the board of talent decreases. He thinks on some level that he's going to hit. The worst pick is this Hippolyte pick. You can't justify the special teams linebacker, because I'm looking at the roster and I want to know where are you moving him to strong safety? Because then it will make sense to me. But if he's not,
that's not in their plan right now.
That's what I'm saying.
They don't have any safety depth right now. That certainly is the
Exactly.
number one need coming out of this. So who knows? Maybe if they get him into camp and they're like, yeah, like they just paid TJ Edwards. Tremaine Edwards still has a year on his contract, making a lot of money. I know what was said from Francis St. Paul. They see him playing on the inside. He could play either Mike or Will, but no, like you've got starters at those positions. So yeah, unless when that pick happened, and there really wasn't a lot of information out there about this guy.
We were like
combine, so we didn't see him.
We don't even know how old the guy is. You can't find it anywhere.
You can't find his age. That's interesting. I don't know if there's anything to that other than maybe just like, data.
I heard he was going to leave for the pros at junior and high school, Courtney. So I mean, we got that out there too.
I'll be sure to ask him. I don't know. Some Bears fans think I need to have my question. So I think coming off the top rope and asking, "Hey, how old are you?"
Yes.
Question really set the tone for rookie minicamp. But I remember like I got a text from a scout I know in another team after that pick. He's like, "What the heck? That guy's a college free agent," and I'm like, yeah. Like everywhere you look, you see him projected as priority free agent, UDFA. And did they panic at that moment when they're like,
he didn't even get it right up in the beast? He was in the best of the rest.
It's a traits pick though. That's a traits pick.
That's where I get scared, Courtney. 90% should be the tape. The tape should tell you this guy with these RAS scores. Now I know Monin guy is the opposite of a RAS. But you watch his tape and you go, okay, this dude can play. He's breaking tackles. He's getting skinny in a hole. He's he
gets better as the game goes on.
He gets better. He's the work.
23. So he was banged up a little bit last year, but still had 1,200 yards. 2023, 40% of his rushing yards came in the fourth quarter that season. So that's a good pick for.
And he never fumbled.
Like especially the ball security thing, that's nuts. Like when I saw that, I was like, wow, like that's impressive. I mean, I will say they have types, right? Like, we talk about like the relative athletic score stuff that Phil's bringing up and like what, certain athletic traits, long.
He's Monty,
fast,
Courtney. He is.
You gotta send Courtney. I'll send it to her because you gave me. Shane's like, look at these RAS scores. And it's David Montgomery and him, and it's identical. And then they're
even statistics comps.
I saw the one floating around about Montgomery's last season at Iowa State and Monagai, what he did last year. Like, seems like it's very comparable coming into the NFL for both of them. But like the tape tells you that's a guy that can fit in what you do. The tape on Ruben Hippolyte, whatever's out there, like he had 66 tackles last year. That's great, but it just doesn't feel like this feels
everybody's like defaulting to his 40 time. That's what they're doing at this point.
Speed, and that's what Dennis Allen wants in his defense.
4.39.
Yeah, and it would have been the fastest had he run at the combine. That would have been the fastest of any linebacker, but he ran at his pro day. I don't think it's like. I don't think you can fault them for getting Dennis Allen the prototypes that he feels he needs at those positions, but like, can those guys play is a bigger question. Like, I think with Zay Frazier, you have 1 year of starters film on him, and he's an older prospect. He's 25 years old. Yeah. But again, it's the cornerback traits that they want: long, lean, and fast. Like, you can find those guys a lot of different places. So I think that the way they viewed that was, hey, a 5th round pick on him. Like, they're okay with that there. If it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out. But like,
even right now, even as I mean, what is he? Cornerback 5?
Yeah, I mean, and that's depth. Like, no, there's nothing.
You can never have enough corners.
Oh no, I get it. But
I agree. If I'm gonna believe in Al Harris, I'm not at the moment. I'm like corner because I was so desperate for running back at that time and edge. Like, what team in the history of the NFL has been so negligent at left tackle and defensive end. We just signed Julius Pepper, signed Khalil Mack, trade for Montez Sweat. I just don't believe in Ryan Poles. And I get it. How do you panic at the 4th round pick and take Hippolyte? Well, let's just take DA's guy. That is negligent in my mind too.
I think this was a draft knowing that it was a draft based on depth, that you should have been okay not feeling like, oh, this was a reach, and just if you're staying true to your board, that means staying true to like how you see a guy fitting on day 3 of all places. It wouldn't have been an overdraft to then go to the next back that you have on the board at 109 and take him there. I just think that you would be feeling in a lot better place and taking a flyer on a guy who does not serve a need right now. Like, and not saying that any of these dudes have to on day 3. These tend to be more times than not prospects that are going to need some time to develop. But if you need all these running backs to make this thing work, and Ben Johnson has talked about, having 6, 7 guys at that position to fill out the roster, I would fill it out with players that you're more sure about than, I'm sure they feel great about Manungai, and I don't want to use him kind of as the sticking point here to make a point, but I just think that we would have been a lot better served you could have taken him in the 7th round, and you could have taken a 4th round running back. I just
100%. That's what we were banging.
How many mocks
did I take? Two of them.
Every mock.
You know what happens, Courtney? If you take a running back in round 4 and Manungai in round 7, guess who your starting 2 running backs are in 2026? Those 2 guys.
Sure.
Right.
It's already done.
You had a shot there. I was pissed that they didn't move up in that top of the 4th and just get Cam Scatterbo.
Yeah.
But that was their projection.
That's the one. If there's any day that they wish they would have been able to pull off the trade and probably could have made it happen, I think they were okay staying at 109. They should have been more aggressive and moving up to the top of the 4th round.
100%. That's where they blew it.
That's when you knew the run was going to start.
Exactly, Courtney.
We saw 6 go off the board, 6 running backs by the end of night 2. So it's okay, you couldn't get him in the 2nd round. You took yourself out of the 3rd round, but you feel pretty good. You got a defensive tackle, somebody that, could either be your swing tackle this year. Maybe he's your right tackle. Maybe he's competing at left. And then you've got Luther Burden. You can justify then thinking we've got to get to the top of 4 so we can then control with the first running back who it's going to be and who we want, because the run was obviously going to be there in the 4th round. Yeah. And we saw a bunch go.
Thank you.
I think they just misdiagnosed the teams because, Jacksonville's got a bunch of guys. The Giants do also. I think they just misdiagnosed.
Jacksonville, that's the reason they didn't take Ashton Genty.
Yeah.
The
Giants took every TTNL player
that high. So they were fine. I think it was actually smart that they waited until a little bit later to do that.
Yeah, and I said, you talk about trench help. The 2 picks that you ended up in 2 separate deals trading to Buffalo, they took TJ Sanders and Deion Walker were the 2 defensive linemen.
Deion Walker one, I think, stings a lot.
Yeah,
he was there. That's one I would have been more miffed about if I was sitting there watching it from a fan's perspective.
My dad was
right then and there.
So Courtney, I talked with Phil and Greg Braggs about this today on the phone a little bit. Do you think that there is any chance that Ryan Poles and Dennis Allen and Ben Johnson went into this draft knowing maybe they have access to a potential deal, because this is what their history has been for a defensive end, in a guy like Trey Hendrickson? You saw Cincinnati go with Shamar Stewart to bring in another one. Dennis Allen has the history with Trey Hendrickson in New Orleans. Do you think that that's something where they're using 2026 assets to bring a guy like that in? Because if that is their pivot, the draft makes a lot more sense to me overall. If they have information like that going into it, that they know that they have a pathway to that just at a later point in time.
Well, the interesting thing on Trey is that, I'm not surprised that the conversation around him got tabled. we get out of Palm Beach, you hear what Katie Blackburn, their VP, says about his value and everything. He's on the other side, you're paying for a pass rusher on the other side of 30. I don't know when he turned 30, but like I know you're paying for him on the other side of his career. And if the floor is 40 million, based on what Myles Garrett got, based on what we think soon Micah Parsons gonna get, like it's like the price and what you have to give up to go get him. They weren't going to give up a first round pick for him this year, like and rightfully so. That would have been
top 10 pick, yeah.
But what does the price come down to now? That's what I think is intriguing. Now, I'm not saying that they're in on him or they're not, but they need pass rush help because Odangbo is a high ceiling guy, but is he your true starting like day one like defensive end?
Not on a good team, he's not.
They paid him a significant amount of money for a guy who has
paid him starter money.
The arrow's going up, but it's not what you would have probably wanted to see to give a defense.
But on a good team, he's a very good third option that you're putting in your rotation. Right.
So I still think that coming out of the draft, like I still think you have needs at defensive end for like finding a starter. Running back would be interesting. I know there's a conversation out there about, is Nick Chubb going to come to the Bears? Like, I think the Bears want to like pump the brakes for a while, be like, let's see what we've got with these guys. There's no need to do it right now.
Right.
That one would I think they want to give Roschon Johnson a chance. I think they want to see how the rest of this group comes together. Like, obviously you've got your special teams guy in Travis Homer. You've got Ian Wheeler, who they really liked him enough to like keep him around after the ACL tear, all of that. And then Johnson and Monangai, and obviously DeAndre Swift. I think they want to see how that group settles first before making any sort of move to go get a running back. I don't think that they'd trade for Breece Hall. I don't see why the Jets would want to give him up. I know that that's another name that was thrown out there. Maybe J.K. Dobbins, you could theorize, would be in that list too. But for pass rushers, I feel like that's got to be something in the next couple of weeks. You think long and hard about with the Bears. I mean, you're not in pads. It's, OTAs are what they are. But if you get the feel that you really need to upgrade that spot, he is your best option out there right now. I wouldn't do the whole thing of like finding some street free agents or guys in, coming in.
You have those guys. You have those guys already.
They've done that too.
Yeah. Could they return to the Judon? I know he's still out there. They tried to trade for him.
You can get some of those guys on like a 1-year deal.
Sure.
Like
the other guy,
what is Matthew Judon's situation coming out of
he had like 5 sacks last year.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
speaking of the Buffalo game, Courtney, you and I were
32.
Both there down on when you walked over and you and I were chatting at the Buffalo game. Right before you had got there, Ian Cunningham was over in our group. And I'm like, when we get in Judon, and he got the biggest shit-eating grin on his face and smiled at me and winked. And it was just, I turned to my son and I'm like, hey, they must be in on Judon. And they were in on Judon.
It happened to Atlanta. I think it was that Sunday or Saturday.
Yeah. And it didn't happen, but man, it's, to me, I don't think even Judon is a piece to the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
but he has some medals on his chest.
Oh, absolutely. But he's also not Hendricks. He's also not Hendricks.
Oh no, 100%.
In the pass rush department.
What does Hendricks bring, Courtney? What is that going to cost?
I still feel like the floor is going to be 40 million for a pass rusher of that caliber. And I don't know if
that's going to drive your compensation price down for the team, right?
It should.
That's what I don't care about his salary. They can fucking make cap room up.
I would say, I think it would have to drop to like a second
round pick.
No, if it was not a first, if teams were not willing to give up a first going into the draft, like, obviously this year's draft capital is more valuable than next year's draft capital. I think it would be a second.
And to Shane, in your credit and my investigation of Ryan Poles in the defensive end position, he trades for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's
So
what I'm
it
saying.
fits the
But you give him the money that he wants. And listen, you cannot pound and preach, hey, we're moving on from a quarterback to bring in a rookie to get him on, have
the rookie deal.
the rookie deal, and then not take advantage. That's exactly why you make a move for Trey Hendrickson. Give him his $40 million on a 3-year deal, and then guess what?
I'm good with that.
That's all off of the board when it's time to pony up for Caleb.
Because he will win on that side. He'll win on the opposite side of Montez.
Because he'll be 31 in December.
Pass rushers, good pass rushers get better a lot of times, even with age.
I think a lot of them hit their prime, like 30, 31 years old. And he's obviously been a very productive player.
And he's coming to a guy that he has a history with.
Yeah, I mean, he played for him in New Orleans. Like, I think that's something, like, that tie naturally, his name's going to come up because of the experience working with Dennis Allen. I think there's several other players who, God, what was the one guy's name? Who was the corner that signed in free agency with, it's going to drive me nuts, but there was somebody else I remember in like March, we were thinking, okay, is this a target for the Bears potentially because of his
corner, you said?
Yeah, hold on. I need to pull up the Saints. This is going to drive me nuts. Saints depth chart from a year ago. Not Ugo Amadi.
I'm trying to think of who you're even talking about.
There's somebody.
Saints
I know it,
corner.
Is it a corner? I need to find this. Hold on.
It's gonna drive you Sega.
I know it will. I had a text about it. Let me see this guy's name.
But in
what?
And this is how I feel right now. Hold on.
In Dennis Allen.
There was a player that hit free agency. Paulo, how do I say his last name?
Is it
Paulson
Adebo?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Another Adebo?
Yes. So Paulson Adebo was the name. I remember. Sorry that took me so long.
No.
He's playing with the Giants. So that's the cornerback I was referring to.
Okay.
I remember that name was
injured
out there as like that's a Dennis Allen guy. Like if you're, and obviously like they didn't need a cornerback in free agency, but that was somebody of like, keep an eye on like that type of player because that's a Dennis Allen fit. That's like the prototype. So I think there will be guys that either are up for free agency or potential trades that have that tie to him that naturally you're going to look at. And so the Trey Hendrickson one, because the production the last couple of years, 17.5 sacks, I believe.
Both years.
Each season, 23 and 24. He's not slowing down. And more than not, like look at the Houston Texans, Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, like the great defenses that are out there, the ones in Minnesota. I know it's a different style of defense with flow, but like you've got two dominant pass rushers. Like, you've got to do that in Chicago. So like Cole said, the day after the season ended or 2 days after, they want to make his life a little easier this year. Sweats, because he was double teamed, he was chipped, like 5.5
and not healthy.
It's not a good return on investment for you. So like you've got to find ways to help him out and have it.
That's why.
But that's been our point here with Montez. So much. He's had one double-digit sack season, and that was combined between two teams. Yeah, exactly. And beyond that, you're waiting for a jump from Austin Booker. I asked on draft day,
Dominic Robinson for.
I asked some of the people in the chat. I'm like, who's going to be your third? People like Daniel Hardy, and I'm like, oh yeah, 0 career sacks. Great, let's go there. You can't
even talk about improving at every position and then never swing the bat at the second most important position.
But what has been, so let me ask you guys this. What has been the big swing by Ryan Poles since Caleb Williams has been here?
In the
financially?
Draft?
Yeah, where?
Or like
financially.
Financially?
To take advantage of the rookie pay scale for a quarterback. I mean, I know Adangbo got paid, but it's also not cost prohibitive.
Gordon
the deal that
re-signed.
they gave him.
Johnson.
I mean, they paid DJ Moore a lot of money.
Yep.
That's a big one. I mean, even with Jalen Johnson, like paying him to keep him here before they drafted Caleb, that's like a cornerstone piece. But like, if you're thinking after him, a position of like the premier position,
and outside of your, somebody
didn't
that
do
you
it
got to go
anyway.
outside of your team. Because listen, that
Maybe moving the
in-house
right
pass
tackle,
rusher,
the left tackle, Shane.
well, that's probably what our next subject will be. But
Yes.
we know the in-house pass rusher is not here.
Sure. No,
not
I
here.
don't disagree. Their big swing would probably be, I mean, Tooney came in a trade, and they've got.
I mean, it's Grady Jarrett and Adengbo, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Grady Jarrett.
Mm-hmm. Grady Jarrett was an overpay. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
But
He's a tremendous
they
player
needed
but he's coming off an ACL from 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and it's an overpay. But like the
100%.
defensive tackle market exploded thanks to a dude from Philly who reset everything, Milton Williams. Like,
Yeah.
they felt like, okay, our pass rush stunk last year, but like it really starts like with our interior pass rush because we just don't have it there yet. So like I understand the logic, but would you have liked to have seen them gone after a defensive end in free agency? Sure. But like they weren't going to give up what Cincinnati was seeking at that time to go get Trey Henderson. Otherwise they would have.
No one is forgetting Montez. We talked about that.
Yeah,
that
but
happened 2 years ago.
But let's be honest also, 85% or 90% of fans are also overrating Montez Sweat. He's a good play. He is not a premier pass rusher. He's not. He's
We
a
thought
good
he was growing
player.
into that. Last year he had a setback. He did have the injury and terrible coaching as well as culture in the locker room. And what
I also think he's got to be on the field more. That's just my personal
I
opinion.
agree.
There's been some times where I'm like, where is he?
He's like
he should be playing 80.
and he's resting.
Yeah, I think, and I know some of it. I'm not talking about the Washington game, but like there were some times where it's like, is this part of the rotation? Is this just like the normal time where they like take him off the field to give him some
There was
reps?
a 3rd and 18. There was 2 3rd and longs in the Washington game specifically. Phil and I are texting each other, and I'm like,
I'll never forget.
Sweat's holding this
But he had the shin injury then. Was it before or after that? Because he was not cleared to go back in.
Yep.
I did ask about that. I remember,
so he didn't have the medical clearance. Okay, that makes sense.
He did not.
I
He
don't
was
know if
ruled,
it was
questionable.
during
He
that
was never ruled out for the game, but it was like questionable or doubtful designation. That I think it was questionable. Because I remember thinking, why did he not go back in? Neither here nor there, but there are moments. I go back to his first year here against Detroit when it's a critical 2-minute defense, and he's not on the field. So like that's a one of the many layers.
I think he's a good football
gotta play
player.
way more to justify.
Oh, I do too. I think
she's
like,
100% right. Courtney's 100% right. And I forget that. So I'm glad she brought it up. So fuck you haters that are talking about her one mistake.
Courtney, for for the second round, where were you exactly for that night of the draft? Like
up at Hallis the whole weekend. Yep.
So was there an audible gasp when they went wide
cubby?
receiver? Because there was a lot of people that you watch the fallout. They're like, oh shit! Like even us, we were banging
So you
the
set
table
the
for 'em.
stage. Are you sitting in the Severance cubby?
Yeah, my
They
little.
have you have.
Did Dion make cookies for everybody this year?
He was. She was there for Colston Loveland's. She beat me in a face-off, like just murdered me. Like when the Queen speaks, like everybody's quiet. I'm like, all right,
Yes.
like I have to acquiesce to Dion. Like I'll do it 10 out of 10 times. But I don't know if she was there for I think she might have had to go back to anchor. But I do know that it was. We had like where I sit, we have a TV above my head, and then there's one I can see in the corner that over there.
Is it a shitty TV that they give you?
Shitty TVs. They're not good.
I mean, it was fine. It got the job done. But
We
like,
need 65, 75 inches.
yeah, they're not big. They're not that
like
big.
45 inch, 46 inches, Shane.
But I do think like
Serious.
running backs go off the board, and it's like, are they going to try to trade back from 39? Like that was my initial thought. You see Henderson go, and then like they're on the clock. It's like, all right, they're staying. I think people thought, okay, that's another Ben Johnson pick. It's a luxury pick, but it's another high end, could have been the top receiver taken off the board if it wasn't Tet McMillan. You know, you got a first round talent in the second round. That's most people like justified it as like that's a great pick for that reason.
Did you hear Mark Grote's stat on the pass catchers for the Chicago Bears in the modern era?
What did he say?
This was great, and
this is a great stat.
It opens up to where the Bears have been. So the first time in modern NFL draft, the modern era, I think it's
60s.
What is that, from 67 on?
Yeah.
For the first time in history, the Chicago Bears' first 2 picks were pass catchers. First time ever.
That's wild. Last 4 picks have been in the first round have been on offense. Last 5 if you include Fields.
Yeah, Roquan was our last one.
Yeah, Roquan was the last defensive player they've taken in the first round.
2018.
Wild, but yeah, I mean,
it's crazy.
Everything trends offense with them now, as it should. So that's kind of how I felt when Burden's off the board. It's like, all right, like you get it now. Like you get why not that there was much serious conversation about bringing Keenan Allen back, but you got younger, faster, and more explosive with your number 3 receiver.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I'm okay with those. Like I said, Ursery would have been my pick at 41. We don't need Trapillo and the D3 tech. You might be able to get that at 72 or the running back at 72 that you want. And that's what we would have done if we did a redraft.
Trapillo and all that, because that's
okay.
It's like a jigsaw puzzle right now, and it
scares the hell out of me.
Bears, we need a left tackle.
Oh, you're our best offensive lineman. Guess what?
We're gonna move you.
They
this
do it.
happened.
Kyle Long,
Chris,
Chris,
how many? Tevin Jenkins,
Cody
Whitehair.
Yeah.
This jigsaw puzzle we'll steal from you is happening again before our eyes.
But did anybody double down and ask, do they listen? I'll be honest. I said it the night we drafted him. I told everybody at the beginning of round 2, and I said, there's probably going to be a lot of upset people. I said, Bears fans, remember the name Ozzie Trapillo. I said, Trapillo. There's people in the league that are higher on him than we are. We were Ursery people for the most part. I just don't see him at left tackle. I just don't.
I don't either. And I think there's, the reason, Bill O'Brien went on the Score and talked about, so I guess Trapillo played left tackle before O'Brien got there, which was obviously last year. And they had a kid who was left-handed and just fit better at left tackle. So they kept him over at right tackle. I think he's a right tackle in the league. I think most people, I think even Matt Miller said because of the arms, they're short, that he might be better at guard eventually on the right side.
6'8" and short arms.
6'8" guard.
Oh my God, that would
6'8" guard
in the NFL. But I know Phil and we talk about this. It came in when we were talking about Armand Membo earlier in the process, and people were acting like this is a terrible thing to say that they should pass on him. He's a right tackle. He's a right tackle. I would not draft a first-round right tackle if you don't need a first-round right tackle. However, now that they're in this situation with Braxton Jones, that he's not healthy, he's obviously going to take some time to get into camp. You don't know what you have in Karan Amagaji. I don't agree with it. I do not agree with teams that draft a player who's been really good at one position or draft really good at one position in college, have him play there, and then you move him out to another position. I have never thought that that's the right thing to do. Yes, they cross-train these guys because in a pinch, could he play left tackle? Sure. But if they're not they don't make,
he's got to hate the thought of it too financially. He's going to be a guy that's going to be coming. You know what?
I don't know. It's Brian O'Neill got paid in Minnesota as one of the preeminent right tackles. I think you can still make a ton of money at right tackle. But
don't you think that they're going to hold it against him if he goes to left tackle and he's not as good as he was?
Well, I mean, they can't make the gamble of taking Trapillo there unless they are dead ass confident that if they need to move Darnell Wright, that he can play left tackle, because you have so many other question marks about the other two players. I don't think he slots in as competition at left tackle. I think that if you draft him, you expect that he's going to be able to win a job at right tackle, and then
Right.
That's what it
I agree.
More power to you if you think that it's going to be coaching
you-
that will take those guys to the next level, that you couldn't do that with Chris Morgan and the staff.
When you make that pick, you know that Darnell Wright is going to be your guy over there.
I don't agree with it. Like, I've never felt that that's the
don't
right
either.
path, because so often we talk to guys and they're like, oh, well, it's like flipping things in your brain. Well, okay, it sounds simple in theory. It's a little bit harder to carry out when you've been so used to doing it on a specific side. And yes, I know Joe Tooney played left tackle in the Super Bowl. He didn't play it well, but he still played it. He played it in the playoffs. They're not moving him to left tackle. No, that's not happening.
No, please
Thank you,
don't.
Courtney. Jesus.
Like, there's just a lot
Say it
of
again for the
there's so
people
many
in the
moving
back.
parts that you could put into motion that I just don't think they should. Like, things are better when they can stay consistent. And if you're going to make one move, you do it early on, so you let Darnell Wright have the time and training.
Set it right.
Instead of like the flip-flopping.
I said the same thing.
If you're going to do it early.
You have to do it right
to Logan's point, Logan, he did play left tackle
early
in college.
on, before they realized that he was a better right tackle.
Right, and he was better on the right side, clearly. That's what made him a top 10 pick.
This is what makes Courtney so great. She just comes right in here, fits in, and just keeps it 100, just like the show is. And all of the things that we do here, you're one of my favorite people, because you always just come in here and just you understand the room and you just become a part of it. And I just love what you just said there, because I will go on the record and say coaching is a huge part of what will help any player at any position. Good coaching is gonna help that, no matter what. But what you're talking about is this. It's been so Bears negligent in doing this, and it fails every time. So at some point, you leave the guy that's playing and growing well in his comfortable spot, and you go forward. It was you who asked Ryan Poles the question. So is there a shot? And he answered it. And just opening the door a crack tells me this is going down.
Yeah, no, I think that they wouldn't have made the pick. B, they wouldn't like publicly talk about, we think he can play left and right. Yeah. That's opening the door right there for the experiment.
100%.
I don't agree with it, but
let me ask you one other thing about Ryan Poles. Boston College, kid goes to Boston College. I've seen
Ryan Poles' dad was teammates with
him. So to me, that it just stinks for me because of Ursery. I just can't let it go.
Yeah, but are you saying that's why he made I think that's a massive stretch if that's what you're saying. That's why he made
I'm
the
just
pick.
saying in that pick. Now you traded out and then you wanted to get 2 for 1, but you end up shortchanging yourself on the worst end to what Courtney's saying. You're drafting a right tackle to play left tackle? No. You're drafting a right tackle to move a right tackle.
The reason you're frustrated is because the seamless answer was there.
Exactly.
Draft left tackle, create a big competition at that spot going into training camp, because eventually Braxton will come back. That's what they've been saying. He'll be healthy at some point. You still, like, worst case scenario, Karan Amagaji is your swing tackle. That's not bad for a 3rd round pick. I think you'll take a swing tackle there any day of the week. But like the seamless way of doing this, of then keeping the 4 others in their spots, let them do what they do, and then you have 1 position instead of now you have 2 positions that you're opening yourself up to. Like, it's a numbers game. And I mean, I'm just saying, I think that there's got to be something that they know behind the scenes about Darnell Wright, that they're dead set confident on him being able to move to left tackle and it not being.
To me, he looks like he's lost weight. I don't know if you've noticed that.
We talked to him early April.
To me, he looks.
I noticed anything in specific about it, to be honest.
Yeah, to me, he looked. Phil, you and I talked about it in season. He looked a little sloppy.
He looked sloppy last season, a little.
But when the Bears put out the
little
better. Video blurb, the social media team put out the video blurb. to me, he looked like he dropped some weight. So maybe that, maybe that was part of his off season.
He can play left.
Get prepared.
He can play left. He is a talented athlete.
He's got the feet for it 100%.
Feet for it 100%. It's just what Courtney said. Now you're moving two pieces.
Well, so I think part of this that we have to take into consideration, and I think it's very important, is he's also got the benefit of Joe Tooney next to him.
Yeah.
That is what it's
part
not
of the gamble there that it's not. They think probably it's not as much of a gamble because you have somebody who's going to instantly upgrade that side of the line.
Yep.
Whoever's next to him.
It's a gamble, but it's not as big of a gamble if it was still Tevin Jenkins, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it's an absolutely fair statement. I mean, Tooney makes guys better no matter who he's playing next to. And I think just having the interior line solidified is such a big weight off of them.
Yep.
Knowing that the amount of sacks that came up the middle last year, the pressure, quarterback hits, hurries, all of it. They solved their biggest problem on the offensive line. You just hope that you didn't create another big problem by putting your tackle situation in flux.
Yeah, I'm not going to count Amagaji out, and I have been maybe the loudest voice on air about Eberflus, the offensive line coach, Chris Morgan, and what it showcased on tape and how fraudulent it was. So I think Roshar is going to come in here, hopefully, and do exactly what a good offensive line coach does and go back to the fundamentals and have an expectation that each and every player is held accountable to those fundamentals. And you're not seeing all this sloppy, everybody's doing their own thing technique and just crappy play calls to go along with it. So that's why I wouldn't count on out Amagaji.
Me neither, because they don't know what they have.
Yeah,
He got put in a tough spot last year. He should never have started that game. That should have been Larry Borum over him in Minnesota. We all know that. That's beating a dead horse at this point, that they keep bringing that up. It's all right, we get it. Whatever. Now you have a chance. Now he's completely healthy. You drafted him last year knowing he was coming off, I believe, quad surgery.
Yes.
So you knew that, and you thought you had time. You thought you had the depth. You didn't have the depth, as they found out. So now's your chance to figure out, what do you have in this kid? Similar in a way to the Roschon Johnson at running back. They thought they had something in him in 2023. Last year, I don't even know if he knows what his role was supposed to be, because he's on the field for first and second down, and he's off it on third down. Made no sense. So I think that they're trying to roll this out, or at least present it at the beginning of, before the OTA start, of fresh slate for these guys who got off to a rough start last year, especially the left Karan, because the guy played a handful of snaps. He played one game and then a handful of snaps.
Yep.
We have zero idea if he's good or not. So he could be great, and that's awesome for them, because then they don't have to worry about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, as bad as he was, you still saw some.
I spoke to his college coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
I spoke to his college coach, and offensive line coach, and another coach, Steve Filippone, who's very close to my dad. He's also a Hall of Fame head coach here in Connecticut, coaches at Yale. And he was so praiseworthy, giving so much praise to Amagaji, and the kid, the worker, and the talent was just unmatched. He's like, but I only had him for 4 games. So we only got to see it, and then he's out hurt. And then he's in the draft. So then he's working out towards the draft, and he's having this issue. So no one ever thought he was going in the 3rd round. He didn't even think it. And the Bears shocked the world and saw the potential in him. And then, to your point, the kid gets thrust in. He has no training camp reps whatsoever. And then he's thrust in on against Minnesota.
Yeah, Monday Night
with
Football.
no chip blocks. You would think you're Cole, every fucking play we are chipping to help this kid. We aren't gonna put this kid
Yeah, they
or
should
our
have been living
quarterback.
in max protection. They
Exactly.
100%.
They didn't
Yeah.
do any of that.
But
either.
that's
That
the
was
difference
negative.
right there is, if
Jesus.
if Ben Johnson is in that position, that is going to be addressed
Against Flores
during the game.
Courtney.
Yeah, against Flores. Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
He's gonna blitz
But
we're going right at this road. Like, come on, guys. What are we
Phil,
doing?
you talk and Scarnecchia.
Yes.
Mhm.
The best.
He's come out and said that yes, Trapillo can play left tackle in the NFL. There's no doubt in my mind.
So that's all I need to hear. So put him there. Don't move Darnell.
I
saw Sean
I
Stewart said it. Make a competition at left tackle. Trapillo, Amagaji.
Well, it's set up kind of perfect for that. Trapillo and Amagaji while Braxton is out.
Exactly.
Yeah, because he was never going to go into training camp unquestioned, which, I think the hard thing would be like where does the competition go then? So like let's say Braxton can't go until like 3 weeks into training camp or whatever. Like I don't know. I have no idea. So don't take that as gospel, but they said he's going to be limited at the start.
Mm-hmm.
So if you move Darnell Wright to left tackle, is Karan then the number 2? Is he who's competing with Darnell for the left tackle spot? Is Trapillo uncontested effectively at right tackle? That doesn't seem right for a rookie.
No, and I don't see Braxton on the right side. Do you, Phil?
Braxton Jones on the right side?
Not at all.
No.
I mean, he can't anchor anywhere.
That would be dangerous.
Exactly. That's my point. It's
because he's so used to left and he is not, thick in the anchor. But
and he's lower body, very slim, ankles, thighs, calves, all of it. Anchor. I don't think you're doing that to him coming off injury either.
Right.
Like let him be comfortable with where he is. So I mean, it is like it's not a sure dead set thing that's going to happen that Darnell Wright moves to left tackle, but they have left the door open, which typically when they do that, I think that's a sign that they're at least going to test it out. So that's their way of throwing it out there to be like, don't freak out if you see this happen in training camp.
That's why I was happy that you asked it, because it was on all of our minds.
Sure.
Right when it was picked, I'm like, here we go. We're moving Darnell. I knew it right away. Yeah. We're moving Darnell to left tackle. And Courtney, of course, is the pro's pro and asks the question.
Courtney, who do you think is and this is way off topic from where we are, but who do you think is the leader in the clubhouse for the third linebacker spot? Is it Carl Jones? I've heard that the Bears are very high on Carl Jones internally. I don't know if there's any truth to it, but they also didn't really address it.
No, they didn't. I mean,
well, they drafted Hippolyte.
Well, yeah, they did.
Yeah. But
he ain't playing Sam linebacker.
No, I mean, I don't know. Like the defense isn't going to need to use it that much. I mean, Amon is still around. Agbagbamiga. So.
Yeah, they extended him. Yeah.
What's his name? Panay Sewell.
Or Noah Sewell.
Noah Sewell's there.
Yeah.
He just turned 23 the other day.
He's young. He's young. I mean,
he's young.
But I mean, if you're thinking about guys, he would fall into that category of this is your last chance. Like, guys who could be getting cut. Like they kept him last year on the roster because he was a 4th round pick, even though he didn't have any training camp because of injury and then just never did anything last year. So yeah, probably for depth for when they're in base. I mean, Amon was used heavy on special teams. Yeah. Carl Jones. Yeah. I mean, that's really going in the weeds there. I don't know. I don't know.
They let Sanborn go. They let Sanborn go.
They let him
go. Listen, I don't want to overrate him, but he signed for 1.2 with Flus and Dallas. I just thought that was a mistake for 1.2 million. Sanborn,
I don't think they see a role for the Sam linebacker in this defense.
Yeah, they're just gonna stay straight up nickel.
Yeah, that's why Kyler got the praise early on. Was the only.
You understand what I'm saying though? For 1.2 million, I
get it. I think that they
4th rounder on that. He's gonna be essentially making that.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Like the rookie wage scale and what Hippolyte's going to make as a 4th round pick, would it have been cheaper? Sure. Were they also probably trying to do right by Jack Sanborn and have him be a
100%.
defense
That's
that
what I think it came down to. Yeah.
defense actually going to use him?
Well, I don't want to keep you. You've given us so much time. I get talk to you for 3 hours about the Bears. I just looked up.
Got to find
Oh
out
my
where
God,
the
it's
NHL game
been
is.
an hour and a half with.
Mom's about to have a bad night when she gets upstairs.
Yeah, she's gonna find out. Like I bought all the stuff back.
You gotta
Found
bring
on
it all
eBay and I
back.
bought it back.
Let me ask you one thing. You've been around sports your whole life. You understand this game, I believe, better than most. Is there someone on this football team right now that is the unquestioned leader of this team? Or is this Ben resetting it and really going to be true to this? The depth chart is unknown right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he's going to attack this.
I mean, the fact that they didn't have a captain on the offensive line or defensive line last year spoke volumes, as we saw. And there will not be 8 captains this year. I can promise you that. Like they're going to vote on it. It'll probably be, I think he thought 3 to 5.
Tooney and Jarrett will be in there. I can tell you that.
They're the leaders right now. And it's kind of crazy that you had to go outside the franchise to go find that. But it was necessary. It was necessary to flip the culture because it was, it was toxic last year in a lot of ways. And I think that even some of the veterans that they had last year who you thought had a lot of experience, there's nothing that you can say that that's not true about that. But, it never synced up. It felt like everybody had their own agenda. And now that they've got guys that where if they're a team that says everything starts up front, okay, well, the leadership should start up front too.
Hell yes.
And Joe Tooney shows you like selfless of all selflessness, like in the middle of the season after that Raiders game, moves to left tackle because they were having so many issues at that position, and then plays it through the playoffs. Like the guy is a pro's pro. No-brainer decision that he's your captain there. And then Grady Jarrett, the guy who was too small, undersized, was never supposed to make it. A decade plus in the NFL. Like that defensive line was so void of leadership. And it's, I think Montez is a guy who's like kind of like DJ Moore. I want to let my play do the talking. I don't want to be the guy who's talking and leading. I think that that's fine, but you needed to have the leadership come from someone who can galvanize that group, who's the old, one of the older guys, the oldest, maybe I forget, but maybe him and Billings are like a little right. I forget who's older, whatever. But like, that's where that's got to come from. So I think it changes things now that you go into OTAs knowing that that's where everything's going to start. And those are the guys that you're going to be looking at that will be building out the culture of this team, because Caleb's too young and still has a lot of growing to do before he can really, I know the quarterback.
You can't force that, especially at quarterback.
Come on its own. I think last year it was forced because 100%. It was the guy that they, gave everything to before he earned it and before he was ready for it. So I think they took the pressure off of him by putting it on somebody else, which then will allow him to not feel like I've got to be the best quarterback I can be, and I've got to get everybody to follow me and buy into my style of leadership. He said it at the end of the season that he feels like the number one thing he'll have leadership wise going into year 2 is knowing how to deal with different personalities and guys need to be talked to in different ways, and that he'll feel okay speaking up. He didn't have play that led you to good enough play last year consistently that led you to believe that he felt comfortable standing in front of the room being he did it in moments where he's that's on me, basically, I got Shane Waldron fired. That's, I think people appreciated that moment. That was not something that he had to do, but for it to feel authentic, I think that there's got to be more time for him to season his leadership within this group, because it is a team that, they think they can win this year. They should. They spent a lot of money on this roster. It's starting to get pretty expensive. They've got to take off. His takeoff has got to mirror up with theirs and go in the right direction. I think taking the leadership thing off of him, though, and not believing that he has to be the sole voice of this team by putting it on your offensive line that's there to protect him, and then on the defensive side of the ball, I think it's the right way to do it.
Courtney, I do have one more. Do you think when Ben got up there after the draft and said that, you know, I think we probably put, I don't know the exact wording that he used, but he essentially said I think after this draft, we put, you know, pressure on a couple of guys with the way that the draft unfolded. To me, it said Cole Kmet and DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
I agree with that. I think, you know, it was, what was it? Was it 2 years ago when Pohl said it's going to be really hard to make this roster when that was coming out of the draft with, I think it was him and Flus in their last draft. So there's always these declarations that you're like, huh, who are they talking about here? What position are they talking about in specific? And when he said that, my mind goes to like, you know, DJ Moore's an incredible wide receiver. Were there moments last year where like he got in his own way potentially? I think the coaching staff views it that way. I think the same thing with Cole too. I mean, Cole's usage, some of it was not a product of him, but they also view this as, you know, live up to your contract to a degree. So I don't think it's, and even, you know, the defensive side of the ball, maybe, I don't know. I feel like Montez still kind of falls into that too, because they did, you know, at the time he was the highest paid player on the roster when they traded for him. But they've got to be able to see that the production come to fruition where it's leading this team to wins. All three of those guys have to, you know, I think for, you know, Ben Johnson has shown the way that they did it in Detroit. And yeah, he wasn't the leader. That was Dan Campbell's team. But like, I think his style of leading is showing that it's going to be all gas, no brakes from the jump, because and it's like, careful what you wish for, guys. You all said you wanted to be coach charter. You all said that you know, it was coach's fault last year. Okay, you've got a coach coming in who's not going to play by the same rules as last year's coaches did. So if there at any point is any sort of anything that comes across as these guys complaining about being coached too hard, then you shouldn't have been running your mouth about it all last year and saying all the things you said. Like, because you got what you asked for. You can't go back on that now. And I think that that's the energy that Ben Johnson's trying to bring in to establish, you know, how serious he is about making, like, there's no time. He didn't come here to like wait around for a year. He came here to win now.
The team is a reflection of the head coach.
How many player podcasts you think we see this year?
There were quite a bit last year. I wonder, is the 85 going to still be a thing now? I would assume it's a 1 year deal with like CHGO. Is Colston Loveland going to do his own podcast?
Well,
you guys should get Colston on your. You guys should do one. Tight end podcast.
We tight end with Colston.
We're very close with somebody at CHGO. I'll say that, and as of right now, they don't know.
Well, I think that there should be competing tight end podcasts. I think that's exactly what this franchise needs.
Yes. Colston, you are more than welcome. Our agent, Courtney's going to set it up. Weekly pod with Colston.
We need to see Larry Mayer and Colston lassoing pigs for lunch with Larry segment.
Lunch with Larry. Just lasso Larry. That would be worth everything. Hey, that would be worth.
You should trademark that before he starts using it.
Yeah.
Lassos with Larry. Let me ask you one thing and then we let you go. What are you watching now? What are we streaming here? Is there any Courtney?
I need some suggestions because
Righteous Gemstones. It's wrapping up.
I've heard that's really good.
Oh my god!
I have not watched.
If you like to laugh, you will.
It's comedy.
Oh my god!
I don't know anything about it. I just see it in my. It's what, Apple TV or HBO?
HBO Max.
I see it in my queue. Because I just finished I guess in the last couple of months I finished Severance.
What'd you think? I'm confused. I'm lost.
Like,
what's going on?
A lot of questions on that.
Oh my god!
You did White Lotus like everybody else. Which and then
White Lotus.
What did you think of that?
I haven't watched. Don't spoil really the last.
But it was really good. And then I just finished Dope Thief, which is excellent.
I heard it's outstanding. That's my next one.
It's really good. And now that that I hated that Apple TV did it like I like to binge the shows like because
I just let them build up on Apple TV.
now you've got all 8 of them.
That's
filmed,
why I
and you can watch
waited.
it. Really good.
Apple TV is the best. Every fucking show on that is outstanding.
I won't give it away with Phil, but on White Lotus, were you a little bummed how it ended with who went away? I was
throwing spoilers out here.
I didn't tell you anything. You're not going to know.
Don't even say nothing.
You're not going to have any idea.
Oh my gosh. Shrinking on. Have you watched Shrinking?
I'm just glad we're not brothers.
Apple TV. Shrinking.
I'm just glad we're not brothers. According to White Lotus.
I don't know what that
my God.
Yeah, that'll be a whole other show.
No, when you get to that part,
then I'll know.
Yeah, you'll know.
Oh, you will know.
You know what?
Make sure the boys are in bed.
I told Zorich, I go, Chris, you gotta watch Paradise on Hulu. He texts me, I think like a week later, bro, you motherfucker. I was up till 4 a.m. watching. I couldn't go to sleep. Let me just watch another one. So check that one out.
Okay.
You have to do Gemstones. Start it from season 1. You will. It is so.
I need a good comedy. I watched some really dark shows this year, so
it's so goddamn good.
Shrinking is great writing and comedy as well.
So there's one more episode and then it wraps up. I believe it's this Sunday is the final.
I let it build up and then I watch it. But next is Dope Thief because my buddy,
really good.
He said it's outstanding.
Yeah, it's based in Philly. So Shane, when you go there for the game, you can go on a tour of where Dope.
Nothing good ever came out of Philly, Courtney. Ever.
Rocky.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Courtney, thank you so much. Honestly,
of course,
it's honestly like therapy having you on here.
It's fun. You guys know I'm always down to come on. So thank
Start
you.
beating the drum for Hendrickson to Chicago. That's what we need.
Yeah, that'll be
off when she's saying nice things, man.
I know.
You're a terrible first date.
You were the one that was mean to her, came out swinging.
I gotta pick on her a little bit.
Gotta keep me accountable. See, I need
her accountable.
Well, let's be honest. I told Phil, I'm like, should I bring this up? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, no, we won't. And then Phil was the one that came. He came.
No, I mean, I think it's nice to show the side that you're human, but then again, it's like people think like you're an absolute moron if you make a mistake on that. But at least I wanted to explain my logic that I'm like, yes, I'm well aware of the rules. I thought because it said he was a senior, my brain can't compute.
It was confusing. Someone showed a screenshot of what you were dealing with.
I put it on my Twitter, and then people are like, "Yeah, he's an idiot."
Did you see
Membu
Membu and Burden?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
fucking Membu. Thank God we didn't draft you, Membu. Get your laugh now.
Nah, it's all. I mean, I get it. Like the dude looked at me like I had 3 heads. Yeah, like I had 3 heads, and I was like, you
just
know
like
what?
This is what it looked like right here.
Oh my fucking God! Your lunch with Mary.
Dan Wiederer. Anyway, let's let her go.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. All the best. Keep doing what you're doing because what you're doing is great. That's no smoke. Every time we go to a restaurant or something, Tate will always say, Dad, your friend's on TV. Look. So
couple more weeks and then we're off the air, so it's gonna be
that's crazy
tough, but it's been an awesome 3 years doing that show, so excited for whatever's next.
Well, all the best to you. You still owe us Mom Dukes and a Keepin' It 100 shirt.
I know. She still has it. Like I've seen her wear it like, recently. Like, and I'm like, you know what? Like, we need to make this happen at some point. When you guys come here, if you guys do the get together, I will make sure that she shows up.
He's coming out with you. Yes.
Perfect.
I'll bring her.
Dinner with the Cronins, Shane.
Yes.
In the good wine.
You're the best. You know her from ESPN. She's the Bears beat reporter. She's the one who holds coaches and GMs accountable.
Oh, Cherie sent her love, by the way.
Oh, yes.
Tell her hello. I was so sad I didn't get to see her, but she got my heart. So
yeah,
there you
she
go.
was caught up at work, and I said, we're going to tell Courtney, you didn't show up just because you hate her, and she's like, I will kill you.
Go play
So-
Madden 96 and have yourself a blast tonight.
I will. All right. See you guys. Bye.
Bye now.
Yeah, thank you.
She is the best,
Oh, yeah.
Shane. Great time. Great
Always
talk.
the best. Yeah, man.
Great talk.
You know, Phil.
How's my backside look, Shane?
We'll let everybody know in about 3 more weeks, right, Phil? Oh, spoiler alert.
Apple TV, Courtney Cronin, Bears draft. What would the AI summarize that whole interview, Shane?
Well, they would say that 80% of our chat were complete degenerates and saying shit they shouldn't have been saying because
I'm disappointed in Key's guy's comment. I gotta call him out.
Did you star it? I didn't see it.
I didn't star it.
Oh God.
I was afraid I'd hit it.
Can you repeat it?
It was more, yeah, it wasn't bad.
All
but he
right,
was
cool.
saying, I love
don't say it. Don't say
it.
Just text it to me and let me be.
Do you want to say it if it's okay?
I will. You usually don't make the greatest decisions with stuff like that. So let me be the judge, jury, and
Did
executioner.
I scare you when I went right at her?
Yes, because I'm like, oh, for Christ's sake, Phil. Let's have a little bit of decorum here, please.
Courtney knows that we're gonna bust her chops and
Did you
gave me
see the fucking
green
guy
light.
that the Pittsburgh Pirates game tonight fell out of the fucking bleachers onto the fucking field?
No.
Oh my God, bro.
He survived?
Well, they had to take
How
him
high
off.
was it?
It was, bro. He looked like he landed right on his fucking head. Let me bring this shit up and share it with you guys. This is Keeping It 100, so this is the perfect spot for it. 4 stories, bro. Holy fuck.
4 stories?
Yeah, dude, it was not good.
I was at a Yankee game when the dude fell off this top and landed into the back net. And he laid there for like 40
this
minutes.
dude didn't land on the net. He landed in center fucking field. So
Oh no. It's like the dude jumping for the Bears, Kevin Butler kick.
You see the guy running to second base right there?
Yes.
Just focus right straight beyond him. And here we go.
Okay. Oh. Oh.
It looks like he did it on his own.
What the hell?
It's got to be a Cubs fan, right?
He jumps.
Fucking idiot.
He jumps, dude. Watch. He gets out of his seat.
Yeah, he jumps himself.
He's totally doing a plyo. Maybe he thought he was going to hang on to the post and slipped.
I
he's
think
going to be
he
Mary
found out
Lou,
that
right?
Kyle Tucker's going to sign with the Dodgers in the
Oh,
offseason,
my God.
and he just fucking went. That's oof. Yeah. Gravity works, doesn't it? Sometimes it's a
Holy.
bitch.
You always got to play these fucking destructive physical videos.
I will.
Just run
I'll
and
wait
got-
months, and then I'll send a random video, and Phil will watch it. He's like, "Why do you do this to me, dude? I can't fucking take it.
I can't. That one's far away, so I can kind of stomach it.
You didn't send me the comment.
I'm typing it still.
God damn.
You made me watch the video.
Doyle Collette, $10. Is there any picks you guys scratched your head on, watched the tape, and have had a change of heart? No, I mean, we didn't dive into Monangai too much pre-draft. I mean, I was aware of who he was. I ended up having 3 games of him just on my DVR through YouTube TV. I was aware of who he was. But getting into the tape of him, I'm even more of a bigger fan. I wasn't against the pick at all.
We weren't against the pick, so he's the one.
He's making the fucking team.
Yeah, I'm happy about him the most.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, because that's a football player. If there has to be a definition of a football player, even Courtney's eyes light up when you recognize how many carries this dude had at Rutgers without fumbling the football, and to have
0
this kind of
fumbles.
physical running style where the propensity for you to lose the football is very high.
Right. Let me put this one up here, Phil. It's not a super chat, but it's one that we do need to address, and I think you should speak on it for sure. Coach.
Thank you, Chris, for asking about Coach. Tomorrow night, Coach O will be appearing with us live as we break down the Lovelace.
Loveland. You did not tell me you might have to end up setting that one up because I've
still got to find out what time. I think 8 o'clock is fine.
Well, I should be close to being back, but you're probably going to have to set it up. So
That's fine. I'll do it tomorrow.
If you are a TTNL network patron, you will be getting a full comprehensive breakdown of Colston Loveland live with Phil and myself and Coach O. And if Ivan is around, he's obviously welcome to pop in.
Jump in.
But we will be, it'll be Loveland. And this is how we're going to do it. We're not going to combine the shows. Every draft pick is going to get their own show. We're going to go in.
We're going to combine the D tackle and offensive tackle.
Yep.
We're going to combine those. So they're not going to get their own show.
That's fine. But
Coach
Loveland,
is going to be on the show tomorrow and really have great news that, he is cancer free. So the surgery that he had to remove the polyp and the area, they tested it and we're very relieved to find out. And he wants to speak to the fans. I know a lot of you sent some really amazing cards because, as I said before, I'll say it again, there's a level of authenticity that Shane and I carry on this show. We could be labeled a certain way, but at the end of the day, the love for our fans and family, and I think we live truthfully on the air who we are. It's not
bro. I was thinking about this today. The things that we've been through the gamut of it all, in life. I can remember, when my son was diagnosed and being on the phone with you, I ended up taking a couple of shows off because I didn't know if I could announce it to everybody. And then I did. And when I announced it, it was probably one of the most therapeutic things in my life that I've ever done. And I didn't know if I could do it. I can remember that show. I'm not a guy that gets nervous. I was nervous that whole show. If you go back and watch it,
I was nervous. Serious nerve?
Was it serious cancer?
Yeah, it was serious cancer, Greg. Thanks, Greg.
I'm not smart.
If you're keeping score, if you're keeping score at home, believe it or not, Craig Bragg said that I wouldn't have shared it with everybody if it was serious cancer that my 10-year-old son had.
Yes.
Which, we addressed that with Greg, and
he's got his balls.
And I pushed him down an escalator a couple of years later. But yeah.
but Coach O wants to address
absolutely
the patrons and the people that sent these amazing cards to him. And he was totally authentic, saying, you know what, he's worried about his life. And
sure.
You
has a way of hitting you right square in the fucking face when I'm going through it with my dad. My dad is a year older than your dad, and it's my dad was the consummate military hard ass, and my dad's gotten a little bit older, and he is not the consummate military hard ass anymore. When he sees, you see your end days can pop up really with any of us at any time, but when you're a little bit older, you have a different perspective on it, and it does things change. And Coach O, to his credit, I love him like he's my father, but for him to be as active and energetic and willing to come on and do what he does here on TTNL, it says a ton about the man.
Bill always gives on funny. Very well done. We should get that, Shane, as a t-shirt. Ivan should make that. Cancer could go shit in its hat.
Yeah. Thanks, Greg. Cancer is serious. Thanks, Greg.
But yeah, he was more worried. Are your fans getting something from my appearance, or are you just putting me on the show as a gift to me type of thing? And I'm like, Dad, what you bring to the table on the shows is just outstanding. You breaking it down. Everyone,
you shit in your hat and get the hell off the field.
your passion and all that. So it was one of those moments. So he's all excited about tomorrow night. And
he did have one message finally when he texted me back.
Did he finally text you? I go, Dad, that was Shane. He goes, oh yeah, I know now.
He did send me this back, and he wanted me to make sure everybody knew.
Fuck you, Bullets.
That's what your dad said. So.
Gotta bring Ivan on here. There's Ivan in the background.
I sent you something, Shane.
Oh boy.
Serious or not serious?
Oh, it's on. Well, it's serious, but oh my god.
Oh boy.
Oh god. Tell me that's not a comment that you'd be like, that's something that Shane would say.
Oh god, that's why I sent it to you. Oh jeez.
I won't even repeat that one.
No.
Yikes.
Well, Coach O will be back tomorrow night to tapeneverlies.com. We're going to break down every player drafted, not with a highlight. Ivan and I are doing overtime, cutting 2 players each. So he's done with Burden and Loveland. I'm done with Trapillo, and I'm doing Turner now. And then
so let me ask Ivan this. Let me put Ivan on.
He's cutting Triple A.
Yeah. Let me put Ivan on.
Triple A.
Trapillo, Hippolyte.
Hippolyte. You just combined 2 shitty players.
I did.
Ivan, after watching Luther Burden in the tape, just, not to break it down, do you feel better or worse about the pick at 39?
I feel better about both those players because they're going to both be weapons. Again, when we talk about the process, we're talking about Ryan Poles and what he's done and what he hasn't done. In particular, on the lines, right? And I like Shamar Turner. I think Shamar Turner is going to be a really good fit for this defense, especially in that type of rotation, learning from veterans from like Grady. But it was always my question is like, how are you going to find top end talent? You know what I mean? When you haven't shown us you've
right
top end talent, and this is where you have to trust blindly that Ben Johnson and crew are going to get things right this time.
Right. Yeah. No, it's you put it perfectly. I didn't talk to you about this before. I kind of put you on the firing line, and that's I think Bears fans, if you're not real familiar with and don't watch college football, you said it, man. Kid is a weapon. We have talked for a very, very long time about the Bears not being explosive enough. And that includes with DJ Moore here. This guy is a different player than what we
wanted. Yeah. I remember me and Matt Waldman talking a month ago. And I'm like setting him up to come on, and he's like, well, what do you want to do? I go, I really would like you to focus on wide receiver for the Bears. I feel like it's a need. He's like, well, what type? I go, I'm on Ra type.
Yep.
And then the first person he's talking about with me is the guy that I loved, is Luther Burden.
Yep.
And
we didn't talk about
forward months later.
We didn't talk about this at all as a network either, Phil. I didn't know who was going to be your number one or Ivan's or mine, and obviously
we never talk about it.
No,
sometimes I'll say, "Dude, oh my."
We'll tell each other. Have you seen this guy?
Yeah, guys,
yeah.
I'm dying here watching.
Right.
That was the one I just couldn't keep my
honestly
mouth.
What we usually back into unknowingly is Phil, or especially myself, because we've been doing this together a lot longer, is I'll bring up a name or Phil will bring up a name and I'll get pissed instantly because I'm like, I'm not going to say a fucking word to Phil about this guy.
Our boy Lan.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things. Phil will bring it up or I'll bring up the name and Phil would be like, you motherfucker. You know, it's just, we don't talk about it, but we see some things we see differently, but some things.
Lan Larison would have been amazing though. Lan Larison. Phil would have fucking lost.
Listen, that was my day 3.
He was so angry, Ivan, wasn't he? I've never seen him like that.
Well, I was more. Well, you guys couldn't hear what was going on upstairs.
We were in the 7th round.
I had a
Don't say his name.
I had a 14-year-old and a 3-year-old creating World War III upstairs between each other.
Yeah,
I'm texting him like, I am seconds away from ruining your life. Remember that fake cancer that Greg said you had? Shit's coming back, bro. Not really. I'm oversaying it, but yeah, I had to go full-blown dad mode there. That's why I left for a minute and shit got back in order real quick.
Lan Larison update.
The New England Patriot along with Efton Chisholm.
Both my sleep.
I texted Phil. He's like, are you fucking kidding me? Both of them went there.
Both players go to my dad's Patriots.
Yeah.
Vrabel loves those kind of fucking hard guys, you know?
Yeah.
Be interesting. Lan Larison, boy. We got to get Jim a jersey if he makes the team.
Michael Anderson, $4.99, has been going for 4th downs now that the heat will be on him instead off Dan Campbell. I just think he's aggressive. Yeah, the situation will matter, but I also think listen, I'll say it this way. If they get into a situation 4th or 3 and less, they're going to know before they get to 4th down what they're doing and how they're going to attack it. With Flus, even with Nagy, I think it was on the clock, last second. Fuck it, let's go.
Yeah. He was never even ready for a challenge.
Never.
Like, I'm at home watching on the game on the television or whether I'm at the field. Anybody watching a game with me will know.
Yeah.
I'm all over this shit. So if I'm doing that as I'm watching, imagine what you should be doing as a coach.
Shy picks. These guys think they know more than the Bears scouts. Well, yeah, we fucking do. Shy picks.
We do.
We do. Thanks, bro. Never seen you before. Probably never see you again. Glad you stopped in to learn something.
These guys think they know.
Have you seen the amazing talent that this team brings in year after year after year in the draft? I mean,
have you seen Ryan Poles dominate this draft every year?
Have you heard of Dan Bazine and Michael Okwo and Joaquin Iglesias? Jesus
have
Christ.
You seen them trade down? I heard someone tell me
your girlfriend didn't pose with you in the picture for your fucking smarts, buddy. That's all I'm gonna say.
Is Mike Green a good player? Is Mike Green not a blue chip player because he fell in the draft and went to the Ravens?
Cygnus, $4.99. Does Poles have something up his sleeve like a trade to get a defensive end? Well, we
have.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Ivan. Cole have something up his sleeve like a trade to get a DN. Yeah, I think it's got to be what we talked about with Courtney. I think it's got to be
That was good
Hendrickson,
stuff with Courtney.
that is the tie-in is there with your DC. Allen was with him in New Orleans where he was a draft pick. And I have no problem that he's 30, going to be 31. I don't. Use him for 3 years. 31, 32, 33. And then whatever, it is what it is. Then you can move on with him, and that's when it's time to pay your quarterback. But add another big-time weapon here. A guy that can provide. You think adding Hendrickson, listen, let's be honest. Is he good against the run? No, he's not. He's not good at all against it. But you know what he's really good at? Getting after the quarterback. And you add him to Grady Jarrett, to Montez Sweat, with some young ascending guys that don't have the pressure now to produce above their pay grade. That helps out. And guess what? That makes TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds better behind them.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have. I had him ranked low.
You would have taken him in the set. You would have taken him down.
I would have taken him in the 4th round.
Yeah, sure. Number 8. He took number 8. Omarion did.
Did he? That's what he's wearing?
Buckle up for this. The Bears are going to have some crazy ass numbers.
The Bears.
Some of their rookies.
So many retired numbers.
Not only Terrace Marshall, the wide receiver that signed with Philly.
Yeah.
He's number 43. He's a wide receiver.
Stop.
Number 43.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, they're running out of numbers. They got to do the Ryan Cox and I were talking about it earlier. They got to do this, the Ring of Honor. Listen, I understand George Halas, number 7. You want to throw Walter in there. I get it. You have to start. Listen, Mike Singletary's in the Hall of Fame. You brought his number back into circulation.
No one's wearing number 54. Why? The number's not retired. What are we fucking doing? Put it on the next guy.
Look what you put at 23. You gave Roshan Johnson 23.
Right.
Urlacher, we're not. What is that?
Franchise pillar. Yeah. Roshan Johnson.
Yeah.
I don't get why we're not wearing 54.
Bill Wagner, $20. TTNL at its best. Great job chopping up the draft for Courtney Cronin. Courtney Cronin, thanks for all the hard work covering the draft this year. That's the thing, man. You know, it is. We put in a lot of hours doing what we do, but if we weren't doing this, Bill and Ivan and myself and Cars, and we'd still be texting about this shit every day because we love it. You know,
I got to shout out Chris Harold, man.
Oh, man. All day. Yeah.
That dude, if it isn't for him, I just can't say enough good things about him. The man, the father, and the friend. So
the man behind the curtain.
He's the man. It's amazing how many, there's good things about social media, bad things about social media.
I got it up.
I try to get it up with good people.
Clip it.
I know.
Clip it, Jack. 232.26.
I try to do that on the positive side.
Or Steph.
Got to embrace those good people in your lives. And I've met a lot of good people here through the TTNL family. And even you haters, you're here for a reason. And you might not admit it now, but it's hella entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
It's always conversation and debate. And at the end of the day, we stand by what it is that we discovered on the tape for truth.
You should try Blue Chew for that problem, Phil. I'm just saying we need sponsors.
Yeah. We call them up.
Yeah. Listen, we got an old man on our staff here that needs a little bit.
I'm having a huge problem.
My middle linebacker's not working. Popping in the wind.
Listen, I was hurt at work. This guy in the chat was very offensive.
Coles overthought it and played it too tight. He traded us down too low, missing talent windows. Would have been better draft with no trades at all. And listen, I agree. I think he misjudged the runs and where they were going to go on the players, especially at running back. We know that they were in on Henderson at 39, so their plan was originally for him to drop to them. I understand you're still high up. And listen, I don't think this is breaking news. I shared this with Phil and Greg earlier on the phone. I am not busted up. The Bears did not come away with Travion Henderson at 39. I'm not.
I wouldn't have taken him at 39. That wouldn't have been my guy.
Yeah.
I like Travion Henderson, and if now knowing what I know, I would have taken him at 39 or the pick after. Was it with the 41? 41. I was taking him right there because, and not to say that was it Mana guy? Not to say that Mana guy, because I like him. I like the way he runs. I think he can be a force for us. But Travion Henderson was a weapon. You know, Judkins, obviously, you were never going to get there. But to know what we know now and to see how we got beat up,
I had a much higher grade on Luther Burden than I did on Travion Henderson with what talent was available at running back. And that's kind of where I was at it, because I'll be honest, I had everybody can go look at our number ones if you're a patron. I don't remember. Who was your wide receiver one? Was it Burden or was he top two?
No, it was Ted McMillan. It was Ted, it was McMillan, and then it was Mbuka, and then Luther Burden was my third.
So you had him top three. Phil had him number one. I had him number one.
He only was third because of height, like height-wise. I wanted a big receiver. I like the bigger receivers.
But yeah, so I had him. If I was throwing down money, I would have had him. Like, if I'm Green Bay, all day long, I'm taking Burden over Golden. If that's
100%
all day. I mean, if you want a really fast wide receiver that doesn't catch the ball consistently, I mean, Green Bay got their guy. So good fucking luck.
Mm-hmm.
I wish there was a place that just showed you all the draft trades. Didn't they used to do that and just show you them?
The trades?
I can't.
Yeah, the NFL.com should do that.
I can't remember the trade that got him the fourth next year. Where was that?
That was
what? It wasn't at 109, right? It was at another.
No.
It was the second trade.
Yeah, it's so Phil, I got the link right here. I'm looking at it. It was the Rams. Right?
So what pick was? Yeah, it was the Rams. You're right. It was from the Rams.
Yeah, so the Rams received our pick at 148 again. So the Bears they took a defensive tackle. The Rams did, Ty Hamilton.
For the third trade, sorry.
Yeah, so 2025 fifth round pick at number 148. The Bears received a 2025 sixth round pick, 195 from the Steelers that we used on guard Luke Newman. And 2026 fourth round draft pick.
So where was that again that we traded? We
went from 148 down to 195, but then we picked up a 2026 fourth round. I have no problem with that pick or with that trade. I'm sending you the link right now so you can see all the trades.
Okay, cool. Okay, I see it. So
but I mean, I can even if you
that's what we missed on Jaden Blue right there.
Right. So
we could have had Jaden Blue.
He went right after the Cowboys. Literally the next pick.
So and Marcus Bowe was there. That's where I was like,
right. So Jaden Blue,
Marcus Bowe could come in here and start for you.
DJ Giddens went, Marcus Bowe,
or compete.
Elijah Roberts, the edge. Yaya Black, the defensive tackle. Aronde Gadsden went to the Chargers. Torrey Horton, who was a wide receiver that I had in my top 5. He was number 5 for me, Torrey Horton. I was a fan. Matt Waldman was not. Jackson Slater went 167.
Jackson Slater, my guy.
And then you get down to
I don't think he went to the Giants. He went to the fucking Titans.
Yeah. That was the one that we got wrong on draft day. That was the one that
That's why.
Yep, that's what it was.
Someone tweeted it out wrong.
Zay Frazier was our pick at 169. The pick right before him was Drew Kendall, the center, went to Boston, or from Boston College, went to Philly. But I had no problem with that trade. The trade at 109, to me, you lost all
Both
sorts of
trades
value.
sucked to me. 41, that one's good. The 41 is Ursery, and you walk out of there, and I'm fucking ecstatic about this draft. Even if you got Loveland, Burden, and Ursery, and then at 72, let's just play the game.
Right.
At 72, let's just go to 72.
I honestly, what I think, Phil, I think you can make it simple, and you're not going to agree with everything overall. I think if you sat at 109 and you simply took Jack Sawyer, I think everybody feels better about this draft overall. That's the way that I feel.
I don't agree. I think 41 crushes me trading down. You had Ursery there. I have Ursery as a blue chip left tackle.
Yep.
That kid would have moved the meter, and you have solved so many fucking problems. They've created problems.
Oh, I hear you. But I mean, clearly, Phil, my point is clearly.
But to your point, Jack Sawyer too.
Yeah, the Bears did not feel the same way about Ariante Ursery. They didn't take him at 39. They didn't take him at 41.
Well, they also fucking suck at taking linemen.
Oh no! I'm saying that's where we're at.
I swear, I get so fired up with polls, man. I hope I'm wrong. I will be the best. I will be the best.
Yeah,
wrong.
guy, he's not the best. You're also talking about a pick in the 4th round. That's where you take.
First of all, Sawyer comes in as a workman-like defensive end who's been there before.
Foundational piece, character-wise. You're saying that Roshan Johnson was. Yeah.
Captain. Effort guy. Shows it on tape. Like, yeah,
he's in the rotation all day long.
Yeah,
100%.
Instead of a Hippolyte who is a fucking special teams linebacker, you have Amen out there as your special teams linebacker. Why are you taking? That's why I'm saying the only thing that makes sense is fucking him, putting him at safety.
Right.
Wow.
It's the only thing.
Yeah. $9.99. Is it Matt Rotar? $9.99. TTNL. Except no substitute.
TTNL times Courtney Cronin. CC.
Yeah, we'll take it.
That's what he says. Thank you so much, bro.
Doyle Colette is back.
Awesome.
$10. I saw someone say Monangai runs like a toddler away from their parents after they grab something they know they weren't supposed to touch. Couldn't help but laugh because it's true. I mean, yeah, I think it's, a funny comp, but I mean that normally I know with my kids means they're out of fucking control and don't know where they're going. He's running someplace with purpose.
You're gonna want to come watch that tape with us.
Oh yeah, because it's gonna be fucking fun. I texted Phil immediately and I'm like, dude, this is fucking David Montgomery with a little less juice in terms of wiggle. Yeah.
I don't think you get first team all Big Ten as a running back if you're not somebody that they could play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to get him down there,
he got it over Caleb Johnson. That to me.
Did you see his phone call?
I haven't seen his phone call.
His phone call was pretty dope from the Bears because he played it off and didn't say anything who he was on the phone with, and then he just hung up the phone real nonchalant and got a big shit-eating grin on his face, and he goes, Chicago, and then the fucking place went nuts.
Well, I'm excited about that, dude.
Kid is making the roster and
fucking doubt. Based on what I see on him, there's no doubt. So shout out to Eric Bieniemy if he
Yeah.
was involved with
100%.
that. At least I know
Isaiah-
people wouldn't draft Hampton in the 7th round.
Yeah, we would have. I think we all would have. Just not. I wasn't taking him in the first or the second for
When
sure.
Infante put him at 10, I
my God,
I
would
learned
have.
all I needed to learn about Infante.
You think I was upset about process at 10 with tight end? I would take Colston Loveland, Ty
100
Warren,
out of 100
all
times.
of those guys over fucking
100 out of 100 times over Amari and Hampton.
I would have taken Josh Connerly over.
The only
Hampton
guy
at
in this
10.
whole draft in the top in the first round I wouldn't take over Hampton is who? If you had to guess.
In this entire draft?
No, in the first round, all the picks, there's one guy like Hampton I would not take at 10, but there's one guy over.
Sanders.
No, he didn't go in the first. It's Membu.
Oh yeah.
Fucking Membu. I'd take Amari and Hampton over Membu. If that was the choice.
That would. Oh my God, that's an awful decision. Our guy Chubbs 82, $10. Bring back the old days when players didn't come out of the game because they got a bruise on their chin. LT had his arm tied to his side when he knocked it out of socket. And the guaranteed dollars play into that. Unfortunately, it's not just the players, and it's only going to get worse with NIL and all of that because you have you have college players, and if you want to know one of the things that knocked Luther Burden down character-wise with some teams was the report out there that he left his quarterback high and dry on pro day. His pro day requested that he go through the workout to help him out. Obviously makes things a little bit better when you have a big time wideout out there. He had agreed to it initially and then said no and kind of left his quarterback hanging. So that wasn't a great situation. That was kind of frowned upon with some people in the NFL.
We're not from Boston now.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I can tell you. Not from Boston. Ivan is from the city of Chicago.
Yep.
Former fullback and Will linebacker or Mike line? What is
that? I was a tailback, big as I am. But I played
tailback.
Yeah,
you don't remember that?
I thought he was a fullback.
No, he sent us the news clip. Remember, it said Vargas rushed for 43 yards on.
Yeah, and like 32 carries.
No, but you sent us that. You were number 25, right?
Fullback.
23. No, it was tailback, but I played outside linebacker, pretty much.
Outside linebacker. Yeah. Look at you.
Anywhere really.
From what high school?
Lakeview
High. Allen. I'm from Connecticut. And Shane is from upstate New York, a little town called Go Fuck Yourself. Swifty.
That was Allen's first comment on it.
Yeah, he's watching the show.
We're not sure if he's being.
We're not from Boston.
We're definitely not from Boston. We're also not afraid to go on camera.
Stay behind. Who just does that with
Lakeview? Where it's on the lake, Logan. For Christ's sake,
on the lake.
Fucking lake.
By the lake.
Got a good view of the lake.
By the lake.
It's an Airbnb.
Ironically, it's about a mile away from the lake.
Yeah.
Lakeview High. What was your high school nickname?
The Wildcats.
The Wildcats.
Underrated
football movie, by the way.
Wildcats.
I know you get to see Goldie Hawn's boobs and shit.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh man.
They did the beatbox in that, the rap.
Mm-hmm.
You remember the rap? Do you know LL Cool J did that song?
Football.
Yeah, it's the sport of kings.
Mm-hmm. I like that song.
Better than diamond rings. Wow.
Fuck you, bullets.
Fuck you, bullets.
Fuck you, bullet song.
Yeah, we need a fuck you bullet. Oh my god. Yeah, get him
that.
on the horn. Well, let's produce a Fuck You Bullets song.
These guys knew. I was.
Have you ever seen that? This is from The Simpsons. They like made fun of everybody's the fucking Wildcats.
Wildcats.
Ugh.
The Libertyville Wildcats. Who's gonna win that game? Fucking
Wildcats, baby.
Wildcats are gonna win. Love me some Wildcats, says Anthony Page. Fucking Wildcats. Fucking Downers Grove Mustangs. When you're in a downer and not an upper.
Duval.
Yeah. That guy's an upper.
$5 for Ivan cutting that tape, brother. I'm waiting for the James Weston song, the Keepin' It 100 rock remix.
We are waiting.
Thank you.
Shout out to Ivan Vargas.
I don't give a fuck that he smokes weed. They all smoke weed.
Smoke weed every day.
Here's an oldie but a goodie.
Oh, this is Claudio the Barber. Yo, 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 this is Claudio the Barber. Oh, this is Claudio the Barber. This is Claudio the Barber, and this is Shy City Sports Keeping It 100. Listen, it's Jesper Horsed's world, and we're just all living in it. Oh, this is Claudio the Barber, and this is Shy City Sports Keeping It 100. I see you, Shuri. I see you.
This is Michael the fucking killer right here. All right?
Never mind. Take him off. I can't even understand him because of the mask. It's done. Take it off.